Hey, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Monster Hunter World Iceborne live stream. I kind of rushed this live stream together. I just haven't been able to go to sleep, so why don't we play some Iceborne together? My sleep schedule is all over the place. It's really crazy. Obviously, last night, Raging Brachydios, Furious Rajang were announced, and I was going to work on a video for them, but I got this crazy headache. I don't know where it came from. So instead, I took some painkillers and I laid around. So no video on Raging Brachydios or Furious Rajang, but I thought, what if we went ahead and we worked on our builds so that when those monsters do come out, we have some fantastic counter builds for taking them down. And you guys can make some recommendations if you want. Or we could just tinker around with builds and maybe fight a few monsters today. With the, if you guys want to join the live stream, we could fight regular Brachydios, we could fight regular Rajang. Maybe some people even have tempered versions of the investigations for those fights. So that would be pretty exciting, right? And we could kind of get a sense. We could just say, oh, it'll be like this, but more difficult. Because if you saw the trailer for them, they look pretty crazy. Rajang doing his flips, no tail. And Rajang is already one of the more difficult, tier 2 monsters. And Brachydios as well has always been, in my opinion, one of the more difficult tier 2 monsters. So the idea of him being larger and having more complex attacks, maybe he has like mines on his body, whatever it is for this particular fight against him. It sounds exciting. I think he is one of the most difficult tier 2 fights, Brachydios. It's just that you never really have to fight him that often. How's it going, Lion the Fire Dragon? Joshua says, will you be on after 2:30 a.m. today? I don't know where you live, so I don't know. It's hard to say. Catfish says, it's Best Box. I know, right? How's it going, Monkey Master? How is it going, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Biggin says, just got to Iceborne and stuck with the same weapon and gear, just leveled along the way, so need advice. What? By the way, how long is the festival still going? Let's find out. Wait a second here. We should be able to check this board, right? It ends on the 13th. Oh, that's tomorrow. So the festival is over tomorrow. That means we definitely have to play. Huh. Okay, cool. He says, when is the event going to end? Oh, wait, there's an event. What? I didn't know this existed. What the hell? Expires in 1 day. Lower rank, high rank, master rank. What? The only problem with the event schedule, I'd have to say, is it doesn't really tell you... It doesn't tell you what the rewards are, and it doesn't tell you what the upcoming events are. So, that's interesting. Also, why do they have the Xbox Store here? Isn't that weird? Check that out. The Xbox Store is to the right. I don't really feel like that's useful. Alright, let's close that. CEE says, when do we get news of the actual new monsters? Or he said the actual new monster. Later, maybe a month from now. I mean, we're not getting the 2 variants until March. So it could be a while because it's only February 12th. I'm going to guess we're going to have 2 cold weeks where there's nothing really going on. And then I'm betting, Raging Brachydios Furious Rajang probably launches at the beginning of March, hopefully. And then after it launches, I would guess maybe a week after launch, then we would get the new trailer, or maybe 2 weeks after launch. You need agitator skill, says Curtis Tyler. Sweet. All right. So we're going to put together the best builds. Let's see what we can put together. I think if you're going to fight those guys and they're really tough, what we probably ought to do is put together some good defensive builds. That's what I think we ought to do. Wish they would add a black dragon. Black dragon, huh? So, let's pick a weapon class. Bow, heavy bowgun, light bowgun. Obviously, I play these a lot. Insect glaive, charge blade, switch axe, gunlance, lance, hunting horn, hammer, dual blades, sword and shield, longsword, and greatsword. There's so many of them. There's so many weapon classes. is for those people who buy cosmetic stuff. How do evade decoration work? The evade decoration just increases the window of time that you're given to. That's why it's called evade window, right? The duration of time you're given to roll through an attack. That's all it does. So you have something called iframes, which is short for invincibility frames. The invincibility frames activate in the middle of the roll, and nothing can hurt you during the iframes. Well, if you're taking evade window, you get more iframes when you roll. Is the Velkhana lance a good choice? No, I don't think it would be. You would probably be using the new Safi'jiiva lance, right? Yendor says, full defense and full divine blessing. Let's do it. Let's make a defense build. What weapon, though, guys? What weapon? So if I was going to make a defense, how about Gunlance? Gunlance is really good for defense, by the way. So here's a wide 6. Nah, we want long shelling, don't we? Ooh, you know what? I haven't seen any new wide shelling Gunlance builds. Ooh. Wow, I haven't touched it at all. Huh. Let me do a little bit of research real fast. I'm interested. Yeah, I haven't done any research on the Gunlance for a long time. This is a good choice. Let's go here. Really curious what they're using now. Here it is, Gunlance, freestyle. Oh, it looks like one guy uses the Gunlance a lot more than anyone else. Well, did he do this recently? Oh yeah, so what weapon does he have here? This appears to be a Safi'jiiva Gunlance. I'm going to find out what Gunlance he has. Here we go. So this is TYOXMH. He's using the Safi'jiiva's Shatterburst, which is a long shelling Gunlance. He has... Oh, okay. Tell you what, let's work on this right now. We probably have this Shatterburst. Yeah, here it is, Shatterburst. Let's go upgrade our Shatterburst Gunlance just like the Speedrunner. He's doing a little breakdance there. Let's get down there. So Zora Magdaros Essence slot upgrade. Shelling long, sharp increase, sharp increase. Interesting. All that seems to make sense. Wonder why he went with Blast though. We're going to choose upgrade equipment. Yeah, I wonder why he chose this. What else is he running? He's got Artillery Secret and Slinger Ammo Secret for the build. Yeah, that makes me curious. Here we go. We're upgrading Safi's Shatterbuster. Is Shatterbuster. We'll take the sharpness increase. And we'll take another one. Oh, he plays on the Xbox as well. I wonder if I've ever played with them before. Should invite him to the live stream. Bring your game. That's all I can say with Raging Brachy. Also, he's probably going to be immune to blast, so don't bring the Shatter Burst. Yeah, you're right. He might be immune to blast, but then again, there's also the... well, here. Why don't we stop? Well, hold on. Should we... Well, we don't like any of those anyways. Oh, God damn it. I see what you're saying. Maybe it's a good thing you stopped us at this point. Alright, so hold on. What are we doing? We want to go to the Hunter's Notes. He says he'll probably be immune to blast. You're actually probably right about that. So Rajang. Rajang has a 2-star weakness to blast, but Brachydios... No, it says he does have a 1-star weakness to blast. He's not immune to it. I think I'm still going to go blast. You're right. He might be immune to it, but even if he was immune to it, most of your damage will be coming from the long shelling anyways. I think we'll still go for it. Achute says shelling doesn't apply blast damage anyways. No, he's not worried about that, but our actual ailment is blast. So when we apply the physical, which sometimes you do apply the physical, it's not common, but you do. And when you do, if you get 1 proc of blast, that's a meaningful chunk of damage. It's not, I don't know how meaningful it is. Maybe you get 2 procs, maybe you get 1 proc. You know, if you poked him a few times. And he's saying, well, maybe you should go for maybe poison or sleep or paralysis, because that would be more useful to be able to maybe poison him once. Which I think he's right on that, but you know, Rajang's probably not going to be immune to Blast, and I think Blast is just such a good overall skill for most monsters. We're going to go with that, okay? Brachydios Essence, we're going to go ahead and just throw high-level skills on. Somebody was teaching me last time that this is a more efficient way to upgrade. Even though we don't want that Brachydios Essence, we're just filling a slot in. Alright, we'll upgrade this. How's it going, Mary? Mary says, what's this? Weird time to stream. That's right. I should be asleep right now, but I am in fact not asleep. And that's because I had like this horrible headache earlier, and here, we'll place this right here. Basically, the time I was supposed to be working, I spent resting because of this really terrible headache I developed right after the card stream. Well, hold on, wait a second. That's slot upgrade. We actually do want this. We'll remove the status effect. Let me see his build again. Zora Magdaros Essence. Status effect. Sharp increase. Guess we'll store. What's this weird time? Oh, I already read that. It's a good thing that both Brachy and Raging have a 3-star weakness to ice, says HARPG. Oh, cool. So you're thinking maybe ice weapons would be meaningful. That's actually a useful piece of information. Paralysis might be the best since you want to apply the worm stake. Too much cards gave you a headache? I don't know what gave me a headache. Yeah, I have no idea. I got a really bad like migraine headache or something. I had to turn all the lights off. Yeah, I had to turn all the lights off. Just having light on was hurting my head. Here, oh, here we go. Wait a second. We want this Zora Magdaros Essence. There we go. Sweet. It's going to save us some materials, the fact that we got that so early. How's it going, Uber Monster Matt? He says, new to your channel. Love how well thought out and in-depth it is. Oh, thank you. It's always nice to get a compliment like that. Headache, just play some games and you'll be fine. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was playing games, thinking too much, staring at screens. I don't know what caused all the pain. There's a long shelling one. I just finished watching all the interviews with Papa John on H3H3, their podcast channel. It's pretty funny. Mary says, it is okay to take a day or two off from all the streaming and selling if you feel like you really need it. I think most of us would understand and support your choice. Yeah, it's kind of weird when you think about it. I don't really take the weekends off. I just kind of work all week. Like every single day, basically. But that's kind of how it feels like when you're doing YouTube. It doesn't really feel like there's a natural break. You know, like the news. It's not like the news takes a break on the weekends. Maybe they have different anchors, but I'm just one person that operates this channel. Here's a sharpness increase 5. What does he actually go with? He doesn't have that. I wonder if there's a reason for that. We'll take this for now. All the fat brain conversations? Yeah, I know. There's shelling long 2. So now we just want the slot upgrade to be finished to 4. I don't think I'll put any more decorations into this. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Alright, so this is good enough for me. We got the long shelling 2, which brings us up to long shelling 6. Let's put together a defensive build for fighting both of these new monster variants that we're getting. Actually, first I'll take a look at his build to get an impression of what he went with. Of course, he would have gone full damage, but yeah, the basis of it is still going to be so similar. So he goes with 2 pieces of the Zora set, the helmet, Zora chest. He takes the Safi crested belt. What? Oh, okay, hold on. I'm reading the wrong one. First we want to take this. Silver Soul Brace Beta. Safi Crested Belt with the Vade Wind. Oh, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense if you're playing a Vade Gunlance. I don't think it's going to make sense for more like a general audience or maybe somebody who wants to guard more. Let's see if there's a better option for guarding. Here's a health boost option. Also a Divine Blessing option. But let's see if there's anything else. Attack boost, health boost. Kind of like the way that looks a little better. Actually, it doesn't matter. Well, maybe it does. Oh yeah, this one has better fire resistance. I don't actually, yeah, I have no clue if that's important. And then Silver Soul Greaves, huh? Here they are. Alright, we took Emperor's Coil rather than the Evade Window. Let me just look and see if there's anything better than that. Lane Power, Agitator, Focus, Slugger. I think this is pretty good. We're definitely going to have health boost on our build. For the charm, he takes the Leaping Charm. So he finishes Evade Window. I feel like we could instead take... Let's say we're not going to play like that. Let's say we play where we actually guard things. We probably use the Ironside Charm. Alright, let me jump back to the comment section. How's it going, everyone? Mary says, don't overdo it. Take a day off. We'd rather have you alive and keep creating content than have you dead with all your cards at your place. I know, right? I'll put you in the will to have all my cards when I pass away. I'm stuck on Barriath right now. Any tips? You're stuck on Barriath. Barriath, he's more difficult at the beginning of the fight, and he gets easier as you progress. So just start the fight out really tough, okay? Like, don't use all your best things at the beginning. You know, mount him. Be sure to throw him into the wall. Use your mantles right away. Don't save your mantles. You know, just use your ailments if you've got ailments in like a bowgun or something. And the thing is, when you start breaking his parts, like his arms and his fangs, he becomes a lot less dangerous. So he's like the opposite of a boss. Bosses generally get more difficult at the end of the fight. Barriath is most difficult at the beginning of the fight. Okay, hopefully that helps you. So let's see. I should have an artillery 3, right? Does artillery 3 exist? I can't remember. Maybe it's just artillery 2. Yes, artillery 2. I don't know if that's really necessary, is it? Try and avoid it. Well, I could drop this right here and replace that with artillery. I think that makes sense, because there's probably going to be some health boost skills I might accept that's better. Alright, let's finish off our health boost. Flinch free, focus, health boost, that's perfect. Okay, let's get more focus now. Focus is the other skill. That and capacity boost. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if most players will actually be lacking the capacity decoration. I know I lacked capacity boost when I didn't get capacity boost till like 2,000 hours in. Let's go see if there's maybe like a piece of armor we can wear. All you need is shotgun or stick gun. Good game, easy there. Going to be easy pickings. What? Apex Rajang is technically not a different monster. It's only something you'll fight in one game, so he doesn't apply, but I'm pretty sure Tempered Furious will overtake him anyways. Let's go ahead and choose Forge Equipment. Yeah, Forge Equipment. We'll go to Armor. I'm going to help you guys by looking up the best piece of armor for capacity boost. Alright, here we are. What legs are we wearing right now? There we go. Silver Soul Greaves. Ooh, we kind of need the Silver Soul Greaves, don't we? Well, how about High Metal over here? Capacity boost. Probably this. You would probably want to wear this. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. This is to remove capacity boost from your build so that you don't have to use a decoration. I don't know, should I do that or should I just max defense? Maybe I should just max defense. I'll have to do two builds. I have to do a build for people who are poor and people who actually just have everything. That's what I'll have to do. That makes the most sense to me. Alright, we'll bring this back in. We'll think about a budget build in the future. You should watch out Raging Brachydios Powerful Attack on next month. That's right. Okay, so let's keep going on this build here. One moment. There it is. So let's see what this guy focuses on, actually. Palico Rally. What an interesting choice. Slinger capacity is already full. Artillery's full. We have capacity boost. Let's go ahead and throw it on. I actually have the decoration, so... somewhere. Here it is. Magazine. I'm also going to want guard up. I know that. Alright. And then he takes... that's about it. He also takes Heartbreaker, interestingly enough. So I think he reaches a point where he doesn't really need anything else for damage. He takes Palico Rally. It's not really going to help us. He takes Blast Attack. Blast Attack isn't really going to be a big concern for us either. So we have room, actually. We have room for more defensive skills. I guess the question at that point becomes, what are... oh, well, here, let's go ahead and finish out Focus first. Hold on. Focus 1 and Focus 2, right? Actually, if we have leftover room, I've got an idea. Let's go ahead and drop these. We're going to take that other coil that we saw, the one that gives you Divine Blessing. This one right here. Check it out. It's actually even more efficient for picking up Divine Blessing. So we have Divine Blessing on the build now. But we're missing 2 levels of health boost. But we'll go in over here to health boost. And we'll take more of these. We'll take another charger decoration. That's pretty good, right? And let's see if we have one more health boost we can use that's really reasonable. Earplug, windproof, tremor resist, flinch free, destroyer. He actually did take Heartbreaker too, interestingly enough, because he has nothing else to build. Okay. So we'll take destroyer. Why not? And then we're going to have to bring one more focus decoration. Okay. Artillery 5, guard, slinger capacity, health boost, focus, divine blessings in the set. So is guard up. That's looking really good. We have a few more skill slots left over. Health boost, blast resistance, stun resistance, and maybe tremor resistance. Ooh, all of those are terrific choices. Let's take a look into what we could probably build. We're very close to tremor resist already. So that's already in here, the tremor resist. We got level 2. Reduces the effect of major ground tremors, so that's going to be useful. Blast resistance, huh? Blast resist, stun resist. I like all those ideas. One level of stun resist is really strong these days now. Look, if you take one level of stun resist, it reduces their duration by 60%. That's really strong. So we'll take one level of steadfast, and then 2 levels of steadfast. Look, that's 90% stun duration. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then we have these 3 slots left over, and we can go for the blast resistance, right? Is that what you said? Here it is. Oh, that's blast attack. Oh, it was right there. Anti-blast. Sweet. Actually, maybe we should have looked for hold on. Stun resist. Oh, we had one for stun resist as well. Okay, so we didn't have to do that. So let's remove these. 1, 2. So we have anti-blast, stun resist. Let's take one more blast resistance. Well, what else do you think it is? Actually, you know what we could do instead? We could take, let's unfilter. We can take a fortitude, can't we? So we have fortify. That leaves these over here open. Actually, how good is this stun blast resist right here? Greatly delays blast blight and greatly reduces blast damage. Yeah, we'll take one more. Why not? And then over here, I could definitely still see myself using... oh, you know what? How about evade extender? Okay, so we'll go evade extender. Sweet. Now for the mantles. Something tells me Rocksteady Mantle is going to be dangerous. What do you guys think? Think it'll be dangerous? It probably will be. We could do Cleanser Booster for teammates who didn't bring some sort of resistance to the Sticky Blast or whatever it's called. What do they call that? I can't remember what they call it. It's Blast. Health Booster, Cleanser Booster, Affinity Booster. Dragon Proof, Bandit Mantle, Glider Mantle, Gilly Mantle, Vitality, Apothecary. I actually kind of like Rocksteady, actually. Maybe we'll keep Rocksteady. I'm a boot, says Zaman draws. Oh, by the way, do I have my volume turned up? Yes, I do. It's up really high. Should turn that down. To do Tigrix with hammer, should I use? I don't know. Did he just say which hammer should I use? Use the best one. Sheath is pretty useful. Let's do Sheath. I like Sheath on this particular weapon. Alright, so we'll just have that for now. We'll call this 14 defensive builds. Oh, come on, man. There it goes. Okay. So I think this build will be really terrific for defense. Let's give it a try.
I've been waiting for you.
I've been waiting for you. Let's see what I have. Alright, let's see what I can actually pick up from the lady.
Welcome.
Here's the Mega Fertilizer. Is this the lady? I think this is the lady, right?
Having a nice night.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. Oh my god, stop! Alright, there we go. There's a tempered Rajang. We want tempered Rajang and tempered Brachydios so we can get some practice in. Wow, I don't have them. So if you guys are in the room and you're watching, post your best tempered Rajang, tempered Brachydios, I guess. Kind of surprised by that. I do have Brachydios. Alright. Do the tempered Brachydios event quest. Oh, okay, cool. There's a tempered Brachydios event quest. Ooh, faint one time, huh? That should be tricky. Turn my TV up, by the way. I can't hear anything. All right, I'm excited. You know, I don't even think I've used Gunlance that much in Iceborne. I don't know why. It's such a terrific weapon. I'm so busy using the sticky ammo on the bowguns. Hit the ready up button here. Oh, wow. We got 420 people. How's it going, everyone? So what would you guys like to talk about today? We can have all the great conversations that I know you're waiting to have. Madison says, I just bought the game, going to start playing shortly for the first time. Joined your Discord. Hey, I'm glad to hear that, Madison. Thanks for joining. Barrett says, so I assume events are working for you then? Yes. Mary says, you have one job. Don't faint. Haven't watched your stream since last year. Feels good to be back. Everything's changed, Brian. Everything has changed. Hey D, are you into fashion hunting? Not at all, in fact. I am not at all. Oh, my lord. Let's grab this scatternut. Alright. Is he stuck in the... He is stuck in the vines. Whoa, he broke out of those really fast. Oh my god. Make some pods here. Oh no. What? What just happened? Here goes. Dude. Alright, there's the worm steak. Brrr. Shock trap. Uh-oh, don't die, man. Oh, so easy. So easy. Oh, right. We probably want the health to regen augmentation. Woo! Whoa. I didn't know he did that even. My cat healing me. Nope. Oh my god. Long shelling Gunlance is way too good. It was already not bad. The main problem long shelling Gunlance had in the past was that it just didn't deal enough damage. But now it like deals good damage too. Arson says, I thought you were a Resident Evil channel. I know, right? By the way, I thought you guys might find it interesting to know the last time I streamed Monster Hunter was like 2 days ago, and YouTube actually demonetized it for having adult content. Yeah, so our conversation, we had like political conversation, right? It was deemed too adult. How about that? How do you guys like that? Too adult to be monetized. Pretty ridiculous. I'm lucky to have so many people supporting with like the channel memberships and the donations. Otherwise, I would have to be like, I don't know, goody two shoes or something. I'd be careful about what I say. I can't use words like pee pee poo poo or stinky doo doo. You know what I mean? Are you just starting Gunlance? He doesn't mean guiding lands, right? And no, I've played a lot of Gunlance actually. Is the truth about me? I've played a lot of Gunlance already. Dude, it's hard to mount this guy. It's hard to take this guy down during a mount. He's really fast. I feel like I should just bring him down. Woo! Let's go ahead and take this off real fast. Oh, I already did have it off. He's gonna back kick? Nah, he's not gonna back kick. Ooh, that's a lot of chip damage. He's making me nervous, man. Alright, let's get the heal going. Oh, Rajang's actually much easier with the shield. Nice job. Is it time for me to, Can't see what's going on even. I was gonna say, is it time for me to put in a fresh thing in his face? Should California be allowed to ignore people's religious beliefs and force them to vaccinate their children if they want to attend public education? Oh, that's a really tricky one. I guess I'd have to say I disagree with that. I think that when it comes to putting things in your body, the government shouldn't force you to do it. I think that you should be... Well, I don't know, man. See, your question is along the same lines of, let's say you have a child with cancer, right? And your religious beliefs are that you can't try to heal that child in a hospital. But let's say that doctors could potentially heal your child. Well, then everyone kind of knows, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to avoid the cancer treatment because of some religious belief that you hold. The religious belief is wrong. But that's religion. Some people don't want to get vaccinated because they think that there's actual medical reasons why you shouldn't be vaccinated, right? And then everyone says, no, those are wrong beliefs. The question is, should you be allowed to have those beliefs and not be vaccinated? So, it's kind of a weird thing. Actually, if you guys want to know something interesting about me, I was not vaccinated. Yeah, I'm an unvaccinated kid. I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled because my parents didn't want me to be... basically, they didn't want me to be around people who didn't have the same religious beliefs, and they didn't want me to be vaccinated. That was actually one of the reasons. So I'm unvaccinated. I'm dangerous. I'm going to give you all syphilis. I'm going to give you all crabs. Oh, man. Furious Raging is going to be nuts, because this guy's already pretty tough. You know what it's going to cause? More people are going to use sticky ammo as a result. I guarantee it. Bruh! Will he be capturable, I wonder? I just died! He just one-shot me! Bernie Sanders won the New Hampshire primary and is now catching up to Pete Buttigieg. Topic of the day, demonetized. By the way, thank you so much for all the financial support, Crazy Gold. He made a donation yesterday, and he and his roommate have donated a laptop to me, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Yeah, I saw that. Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire, and Pete Buttigieg is close behind, but actually, I guess it was surprising to know Pete Buttigieg won in the first place. I didn't think Pete had so much support. I didn't know that. I'm pretty sure we're getting 2 monsters instead of 1 in May because Orochi and Elytrion is in the game's codes already, says Fan. Ooh. Fan, where are you getting this hidden data miner details? You got the good stuff somewhere. You got the good information. Nil says, I use your light bowgun sticky build. It is awesome, but I still don't feel comfy enough with the slowiness of that ammo type. Slowiness? I think it's pretty fast ammo type. Maybe I don't. Maybe you mean maybe it's like clumsy or something. So I notice I'm mostly just guarding. Man, he just attacks often. Raging like Bogan is main weapon since Raging came out. It's a strong... Sticky ammo is really strong right now. Like, I play all the weapons, and my impression is just how good it is. How good they really are. Ooh. About the vaccination topic, in my high school in Washington, I was kicked out for having a fever of over 100, so wouldn't that fall under a similar ideal? You were kicked out of school for having a high fever. Well, I think that's a little bit different because they're saying you're definitely sick and we just don't want you around all the other kids. So that makes a bit more sense. Whereas not being vaccinated is a little bit different. I think it's more like you could get sick, and we don't want our kids to be around you. I think very often what you hear people say then is, well, then why are if your kid's vaccinated, what are you worried about? If my kid's not vaccinated, my kid's going to be the one that gets sick, not yours. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really pay a lot of attention to all the vaccination arguments. You could just boil it down to a simple question of what power should the government have over you and what you put in your body. So maybe today you all agree with the vaccines and how they're working, but if there was a day where you didn't agree with it and the government was like, well, you have to take it anyways, then you will probably discover why people aren't necessarily always for that. It's a weird thing. It's definitely, yeah, it's a weird thing. It makes me uncomfortable. Does it make any of you uncomfortable? The idea that the government can tell you, yeah, you have to take this vaccine. I can get it if we subsidize the vaccine so that everyone can afford to get it. That's totally different. But this is a different thing. It's saying your children can't participate in public without this vaccine. Oh my god, I thought he was going to grab me right there. Dude, this guy's crazy. Dude, he's so crazy. Bruh. Bernie will have a heart attack if he gets elected. Yeah, what you're complaining about is Bernie Sanders. Oh my god, dude. Bernie Sanders being too old, which I think a lot of people are concerned about. Let's go ahead and heal. Oh my god, this guy's ooga booging it everywhere. It's too much, man. Oh, damn it. Countries can't let you in, too, if you're not vaccinated. Bro. Oh my god. Alright, let's go ahead and pick this up real fast. Did I get him at least? I did. Perfect. Oh, and he's almost dead. We made it. We lived. I mean, I wasn't vaccinated and I have a proper amount of autism. The package dealer says the government taking any kind of human right from you is a step closer to tyranny. Stay strapped, folks. And it sounds kind of creepy when you say that, like, oh, you're just get your tinfoil hat. The government's coming in to take advantage of you. But at the same time, it's a little bit of truth to it. Telling your government telling you that your child has to be injected with this thing, it's just kind of weird. If it's really good for you, right? If it's really good for you and your child, you should be able to make a decision to want to go have it. The government shouldn't be telling you you're forced to have it. The government should just be able to say, hey, this is good for you. Let us give you this vaccine for your children. And again, if the vaccines really work, like if the concern is that other parents aren't vaccinating their children, if the vaccine really works, then just get your children vaccinated, and then your children are protected and the other guy's children aren't. And, too bad for his kids. You can feel bad for his kids for not being vaccinated and getting sick, but, if they work, why are you concerned? Unless they don't work. Ooh. All right, we got it. Nice. So that's my feelings on it. California does a lot of really... They tend to be pretty far onto the left with their thoughts and ideas. Eric says, good morning, Gameconomist in chat from the Marshall Islands. How's it going, Eric? I agree that it would make sense to make the vaccines financially available to everyone if they want to force it. Right, exactly. So if you want people to be vaccinated, you can subsidize it, and you can tell people that it's a good thing. I feel maybe like it crosses a line when you tell people your child must be vaccinated. It's the law now. You know what I mean? That's where you stop having control over your children's bodies. You're handing control over to the government. It's just kind of an uncomfortable thing. I don't agree with it. Don says it also only applies to public education, though. I'm pretty sure you can still do private homeschool. Can you? Is homeschooling allowed in California? I'm looking it up. Okay, so it looks like you don't have to go to public school in California. Still, I would like this as well. So if they're going to have a rule like in order to go to public school, you are forced to get vaccinated. So if you opt not to do that, then I would like to not have to pay taxes on that too. So if the government is charging you taxes for education and vaccines, and you're told you have to have the vaccine, I would like the government to remove from my paycheck the tax for the school and the tax for the vaccine if I choose to homeschool my child, because that would only be fair in my opinion. That would only be fair. You're not using the resource, so you don't pay for the resource. My sister is homeschooled and I'm in California. Oh, interesting. So that was pretty cool. We fought tempered Rajang and lived. It's a pretty tough fight. He really does attack more often than an average monster. Let's go ahead and have the Grand Appreciation Festival platter. Imagine being forced to indoctrinate your kids. Well, I don't know if this is considered indoctrination. It's more like forced medical treatment. Again, it's not necessarily even medical treatment. The idea is preventing your child from becoming sick. Your child's not exactly sick yet. Like I just said, I actually was never vaccinated. And so far I don't have measles. But I'm not against vaccines. I'm not. I might be against the government telling you that you have to have a vaccine by law, like you're required to get the vaccine. I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. If the government is giving you something good like a vaccine and it is good, I feel like all they have to do is tell you and provide it for free, and you will get your kid vaccinated. But telling you have to get vaccinated, that's when I start to actually kind of flinch and go, really? I don't have any, I don't have any control over this. It's my kid. It's not your kid. Yeah, you guys know how I feel. You guys probably feel somewhat similar. Get your blast resistance ready, boys. That's right. Public school is provided by the government, so for the government to have stipulations and requirements for that service they're providing is not that big a deal. No, that's not actually true, Astrophalis. So you're saying that public school is provided by the government. Who actually provides the funds for the government is me and you, actually. So It's not that the government provides public school. You and I provide public school after the government takes our money. And so the government doesn't necessarily get to push stipulations on me if I don't want them. But in California, people are generally more liberal in California. So this is what the voters wanted. The problem would be is, do you have maybe a constitutional right to not be vaccinated? So that's kind of a different issue. You can't take someone's constitutional rights away. You can't vote them away. Well, you can if you can get a really huge vote, but that would be an amendment to the Constitution. So if you have a constitutional right not to be vaccinated would be a different question. It's an interesting topic, guys. I'm glad you guys brought it up. It's really interesting. Rajang is anti-vax. I know, right? Why would the government lie to us? Says Dead Elixir. I don't know, man. The government, as we all know, has never lied to us, taken advantage of us, or done things that are bad for us, ever. Ray Jane got all his vax, and look at him now. I know, right? Ray Jang's a Ray Jang's a druggie. Look at him. He like breaks off those horns. He's smoking those horns. He's like he's doing lines of ground up Kirin horn, and then that's when he gets all crazy. Agiku says, "Why is there even a government?" Governments are very important. Humans would not live well together if we didn't all agree to a set of rules and agree to norms, and we would not live very well together. In fact, we would almost certainly all be killing each other right now. Imagine if there was no law against killing each other. We would definitely be killing each other. So governments are a good thing. Did you see Furious Ray Jang's new move where he takes a hunter and does the Super Saiyan Slam with the hunter? I did see that. That's really cool. Wait, where's this Furious? Did I go the wrong way? I went the wrong way. Angel says, I'm all about anarchy. Anarchy! I'm not. I actually like government. Yeah, I like government. I think government's a pain in the ass, but I think at the same time, it gives, structure that you need in your life. Run this way. Do you think vaccination causes cancer? Yeah, so again, I don't actually know any of the science for vaccines. I don't actually research that kind of stuff. I've always had a pretty low interest in that kind of stuff, so I don't really care about it. But I do know that the experts have been wrong before. For example, for a long time, they were saying the stuff in the water, what is that? I don't even remember the right term for it. It's been a while since I've talked about it. Chloride, is that the word? They're saying, you got to have this in your water because it keeps your teeth strong. And then now they're discovering that it's actually toxic for your brain development when you're a kid and can actually lower your IQ. And it's something they don't even provide in the water in certain countries. They don't have it. But we have it here in the U.S. because it turns out the government actually buys a byproduct from companies to put the chloride in the water. And those companies are able to sell this to the government, so they have no interest in stopping selling it, even though it's been shown to not really be necessary for good teeth health. And again, was it China this time or was it Canada this time? Because China kind of already knew about it. They recently discovered that it does cause your brain to not be really damaged, but it's known to like lower IQ or something like that. I would have to look it up. It was a study that was just recently released. Please, the government is never wrong. Please spray my kids with DDT, please. I know, right? You're made of it, Safi Poopy. It would be awesome if we could designate where we want our taxes applied. It would be nice if we could do that. It just doesn't really work that way, does it, though? Like, for example, a lot of Republicans don't want to pay for your abortion. But then a lot of Democrats don't want to pay for, like, a border wall is actually almost too good of an example. There's a lot of Democrats that would be heavily opposed to their money being spent on that. But the way taxation really works is we take everyone's money, and that's kind of the power of taxation. So as a group, we buy something. But the problem is you get people who are, like, in the minority at the time, and they say, I don't want to pay for this. Yeah, I see how it is, though. It would be cool if there was like a Republican tax and a liberal tax that you could pay. Of course, you could have always paid a liberal and Democrat tax if you were just... Wait, did I not put in a... Hold on, I'm trying to figure out, did I not put a worm stake in him? I thought I put a worm stake in him. I don't see it. I don't think I did. What? There we go. Weird. Do attack augmentations increase shelling damage on the Gunlance? Ooh, what a great question. How did this guy augment? Hold on, I'm going to look right now and see what his augmentations were. I'm looking at his... Oh, what was that noise? That was a weird noise. I think a noise just came out of my Wi-Fi router. What the hell? Made like a terrible noise. My Wi-Fi router about to break here, guys. Does he not show off his augmentations? Sorry, guys. I'm looking for his augmentations. I don't think he shows them off. Oh, what a pity. He doesn't actually show them off. Yeah, he doesn't. Oh, well. Sorry, not Augment's Awakenings. Yeah, that's a great question as well. You'll notice this build is roughly based off of what the top speedrunner for the Gunlance is using, and he doesn't bother with attack augmentations. Yeah, he goes with sharpness, and he goes with, woo! He goes with the slot upgrade, but he doesn't actually take attack. Oh, I think I knocked him over with that. Will Gameconomist ever play with bows? I will eventually. Every time I want to play with the bow, I just end up reaching for the for a bow gun. I think your router needs to be vaccinated. I know, right? Mandated by the government. Yeah, you gotta be careful when the government mandates that kind of stuff too, because sometimes what you find out is the company, and it's hard to trace this too, but sometimes you find out the company that provides the vaccination is actually supporting the politician that is making it required to get that vaccination. I was learning about that in... Oh, where was I learning about that? I didn't ever take a political science course. I took I think it was ethics. There was a business ethics course I had to take, and I think I learned about it there. And it was talking about how you can have a situation where a company benefits greatly from a politician that creates a rule that sells the product for that company, and basically you're not allowed to do that. So I'm pretty sure I was learning about it in ethics, and it was kind of creepy because I remembered at the time they were going over examples of this happening in the United States. And I think one of the examples was, it might have been a vaccine for women that was based on like sexual, some sort of sexual disease you can get. I can't remember. Again, this was a while ago. This was a few years. I mean, I graduated like 3 years ago, I think now. Almost 3 years. So this is a little while ago. But I remember reading about that and thinking, oh, so this is crony capitalism, right? And it can be more complicated than it's funny, it's really interesting. When people are in power, it's very easy for them to do something corrupt and essentially to hide it. You might even just have like a family member or from your extended family in the medical company and be like, hey, I'm just going to do this guy a favor. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you should have a vaccine. It just has to do with, here's this person I'm personally related to or I'm friends with, or he's the husband of, and I'm going to do him a deal, I'm going to do him a bargain because it's going to make him rich and he's going to scratch my back later, or I just want to make sure my family's well off, basically, right? So you get that kind of stuff happening in the government. And that's why it's so creepy when a government says something like, well, you have to take this medicine. You know, it's just kind of like, it gives you an opportunity for it gives you an opportunity for an ethical mistake like that, basically. I think that's what I was learning back then in my ethics course. You have to take this vaccine, right? It's like, well, that's really convenient for the company that provides the vaccine, don't you think? The vaccine company stocks just went up. They're like, yes, that means more people are going to take my vaccine. I have the power of God and anime on my side. Ted says, by the power of the holy waifus. First country to put fluoride... Oh, it wasn't chloride, it was fluoride. Thank you. First country to put fluoride in the water was Nazi Germany, says Chris. Mary says, your waifu is trash. Hate to break it to you, but it had to be done. Mikolaj says, who do you think will be harder? Ooh, that's a great question. I actually think Raging Brachydios could potentially be more difficult. Will Schmuck says, you don't trust the government to mandate requirements to use public resources, but you trust that same government to track what public resources each citizen uses and tax accordingly. Lol. I don't really know what you're trying to say here, Will Schmuck. All I'm saying is that I think when the government tells you that you are mandated to take a vaccine, that maybe that's stepping over the line. You know, you're talking about having to put something into your body at that point, and if it is good for you, all the government, I think, should have to do is tell you that it's available freely and that it is good for you. I think the government telling you you must put it in your body to participate in this thing that you're paying for, the public school, I feel that steps over a line. Cam Oz says, really convenient for you because you are protected from disease. Vain Regret says, my waifu is Corona-chan. Oh no, Corona-chan. How about another Fang Beast? Hit or miss? I guess they never miss, huh? Oh, no. Sure, but it is also necessary because there are people out there who have no choice in the matter. They have uncurable diseases that can be prevented by herd immunity. I guess so. Again, I don't actually read a lot about vaccines. It's not a topic of interest to me. It never has been. Again, when it comes to laws and who has a right to tell you what to do, I suspect that you should have a control over your body. You should be able to say, no, I don't want this vaccine. That's just me. You're welcome to convince me to take a different opinion on that. But like I said, I think if the government says you have to take this vaccine to go to public school, I actually would be totally okay with that if I didn't have to pay taxes on public school. So if the Californian government says, all right, we're imposing vaccines for your children going to public school, it's mandated, I would say, that's cool. I'm going to homeschool my kid and not pay taxes on the public schools because, of course, I'm not going to pay taxes. I'm not using the resource. So you're not paying for my child to be in school? That means I get my money back. I'll put that money towards the homeschooling. See what I'm saying? So that sounds fair to me. All right. Let's go ahead and...
I've been waiting for you.
I've been waiting for you. Let's join a quest. Kushala Daora. Let's get him. I love you, GE, but diphtheria, tetanus pertussis, polio... yeah, I think you're going to try and correct me or something like that. Oh, there's only 2 people for this quest. I'm actually going to drop out. I'm not making an argument for or against vaccines. If vaccines work, they work. Again, I'm not interested in it. It's not something that I look into or care about. We're talking about who has a right over your body. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about taxation and who has a right to inject things into your body. So if I don't want my kid to be vaccinated, that's fine. I can pull my kid out of the public school, but then also I probably shouldn't be paying taxes on public school then because my child doesn't actually go. So you would just be receiving money from me for a thing that I don't send my child to. It doesn't make any sense, right? That would be right. That would be fair. But yeah, when it comes to vaccines, I don't know anything. I honestly do not know anything about vaccines. Ooh. Well, let's go ahead and post a quest. We'll post... Let's see. The problem with the vaccines are not an adult decision level, though. Children are at risk because the parents make a bad decision, says Loss. Danicoy says the only way Corona Chan is flat is an electrocardiogram. Or Ret says parents make a lot of bad decisions for their children all the time. I mean, look, the government makes bad decisions all the time. Actually, it's really obvious that our government makes bad decisions all the time. It's almost like all you have to do is look at the last 10 years. Bad decision after bad decision. So I don't really think just saying parents make bad decisions makes one thing or another right. Everyone makes bad decisions sometimes. That point you just said is what I was addressing. You trust the government to track who should or shouldn't be taxed for these sort of decisions. Oh, I see what you're saying, Will. Okay, I understand now. So you're saying if we did have a rule where you could opt out of paying public school taxes, you're saying the government wouldn't be very good at tracking that. Yeah, I mean, I think the government could do that. The IRS does audit people. So, you could be like, hey, my child's homeschooled. I feel that that's something they could look up very quickly if your child went to school or not. You know what I mean? Mary says, you are what you eat. Look like you ate a lot of disappointment because you freaking disappoint me. Shake my head. I eat cheese, says Cheese. Kemos says, but that's society. You give her and take even though you won't benefit from everything. True, but in this case it's a lot more obvious, right? So everyone contributes to public school because everyone sends their children to public school, right? It would be very easy, I think, for you to be able to opt out. Or let's say you didn't want to go to public school. You could be given a voucher for your child, and that voucher could go toward a charter school or private school or homeschool even. So, it's a little less complicated with the school because everyone has children, in my opinion. This isn't some abstract thing like building highways. Let's see. The other families in public schools who also pay taxes shouldn't be forced to have their kids exposed to human petri dishes. I think you just called my children that don't exist human petri dishes. Let's see. Ted, I'm literally an ass then. Jonathan says that argument is flawed. It's like saying since I don't have a kid, I should not pay taxes for education. Well, Jonathan, maybe you shouldn't. Have you ever considered that, Jonathan? Yeah, if you don't have children, maybe you should not be paying for other people's children. I don't know how people reach these. It's just the way, you're used to things being the way they are. So it must be like blowing your mind to have a thought like that. But it's like, if you don't have kids, maybe you shouldn't have to pay for someone else's kids. Whoa, that's a crazy idea. I have to do that. Why? You're like brainwashed almost, is what I'm saying. If you really believe that, you're a little bit naive and brainwashed. You could decide to if you think it's good. Like you can vote and say, yeah, I want to give my money to your children. But they're not your children. So you can conclude very rationally that, hey, I don't want to give you my money. That's not you being crazy. That's actually just very normal thinking. The other families in public schools who also pay tax. Oh, I already read that one. That works as long as that child also never goes outside. Yeah, I guess I would challenge you guys to think, if the vaccines work so well, then why does every single person's children need to be vaccinated? I don't know let's see, what else? Crazy Gold says, I'm from LA and I got vaccinated before heading off to study in the UK. I was forced to pay to get vaccinated again by my university, even though I already got vaccinated back home. Jesus. Caleb says, do you have a guide on the Linnean researcher camera missions? I don't. That's a great subject. I forgot about that. We pay for the betterment of society, not just for your own self-interest. Yeah, but the reason you pay for the betterment of society is because it's in your interest for your society to be better, okay? So you wouldn't just take your money and throw it into a hole. Likewise, you wouldn't take money and pay for people you don't like. So you could have bettered Nazi Germany during the World War II. There's probably German children that didn't have anything to do with the Nazi war or propaganda, and they could have used your money. Does that mean you should be out there paying for their education and their food? So you actually, even when you're taking care of your own society, it's a pretty selfish act, even in that case, because you're selective about which society you're in, and you have something to say about what that society does. So to say that, oh, well, you must pay taxes on everyone's children because that's good for society, and that's not selfish, that's selflessness. Well, again, you're being kind of naive in my opinion. You're not telling the whole truth. It is actually kind of selfish. Okay, let's see. GE, if you pay for the poor kids' schooling, then more of them won't grow up to be unemployed criminals, and thus society as a whole gets better. Yeah, I feel like we've... Hold on. I know what you guys are going with and how you feel about these ideas. There's a whole topic of what taxation actually does that we can have a conversation about, right? This isn't just like a... This isn't just a school thing, this is a taxation thing in general. What should you actually pay for as a society as opposed to what a person should have to pay for as an individual? For example, most of us can agree that, okay, if somebody needs help with food and water, we should help them with food and water. But a different question of how should we educate our children is actually a really important conversation that doesn't get held very often. So I'm not saying that children shouldn't be educated. I actually really love the idea of having educated children. Okay, so it's actually quite the opposite with me. I'm all about education. Education is really important. The question is, how do we pay to educate our children? So if you decide, well, I don't want my children going to the public school, should you then be paying for the public school still? That's a really important question. You can still educate your children. I mean, I was homeschooled badly, but there were actually homeschoolers that were educated really well. Not me. My parents just didn't do a very good job, but I actually know homeschoolers that did a really good job, and they, went on. Well, it's funny because some of them were computer scientists at my college as well, and I know some homeschoolers personally who I've done really well, surprisingly. Even though my education wasn't exactly terrific, I still did really well. It turned out that the high school education wasn't the most important factor for me. What was most important for me was to learn how to work hard, essentially. That was about it. It turned out most educational things you can learn quite quickly. Not math, I'd say. Math takes a lot. Math is something you can't learn quickly, unless you're already kind of a math genius. But here, let me update the snack fund here. Max Kalina says, "What's good, TGC? Are you hyped for the variants?" I'm so hyped. You have no idea, Max. I'm super hyped. What do you think of Sleepy Joe Biden insulting his voter? Hold on. Let me update the snack fund first. Sleepy Joe Biden. Oops. Actually, I'm going to say what it really is. That would have been about $3 because of the way YouTube takes a cut. I like Joe Biden, actually. I just think that he's too old to run a country right now. He doesn't always speak very well. I don't know how I feel about people being too old and running a whole country. It's not I don't like to think of myself as somebody who says, oh, you're too old to do this or that, but I mean, come on, they're just really quite very old. Same with Bernie Sanders, same with Donald Trump, but he is actually technically younger than them, and he does still talk pretty coherently. Is that the right word? Bernie Sanders talks more coherently than Joe Biden. I don't know what it is, but on the other hand, Bernie Sanders has recently had a heart attack, so it's like, it's not a them thing. It's just an age thing. Age gets us all. I'll be too old someday. If you attended public education or the government supported your education in some way, shouldn't you pay it back and pay taxes for it as an adult? Well, I wasn't the benefit of this at all. So I guess my other question for you would be, if I didn't receive the benefit of public education, should I have to pay it back as an adult? So I'll just ask you that question in reverse. How's it going, Game Brain? Oberon? How is it going, man? Tivasa says, I live in South Africa. Only 44% of the population pays taxes to help the entire country. We have the biggest wealth gap of any country in the world. If we didn't help, they would murder us. I'm so sorry for my gameplay, by the way, guys. It must be atrocious. I'm totally paying attention to the conversation. Oops. Oops. I'm not trying to do this, actually. The conversation is really fun right now. What the hell? I'm trying to load up my oh, it's already loaded. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. Oh, that's so annoying. Alright, load that back up. Sweet. Okay, so we got our worm steak in him. Yeah, it's nothing against Joe Biden. It's nothing against Bernie Sanders when it comes to the age thing. It's just that I do think people do get too old at some point, and it's time for you to retire and let someone younger have a turn being in charge. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I feel like somebody would be like, "Ooh, that's ageist," but it's like Bernie Sanders did actually just have a heart attack, and Joe Biden. I actually, yeah, Joe Biden. You listen to him talking, it sounds like he's struggling, to be honest. Probably not, but a majority of children do attend public school and should therefore pay taxes for it as an adult, even if they don't have children themselves. Alright, so I don't have children, and I didn't attend public school. My parents homeschooled me. So are you saying that I don't have to pay for? Because that's what your reasoning is. Your reasoning is that, well, if you benefit from it, you should have to pay taxes on it. But I actually didn't benefit from it at all. So then all I have to do is reverse the question and be like, all right, so that means I get the tax break, right? I don't have the jump. I don't have the jump or anything.
Let's be serious for a second. We need to start investing into research of a vaccine that can cure the annoying handler disease. Much love. Tomorrow's my day off from uni, so I'll catch you tomorrow.
I'll catch you tomorrow. Well, I'll be on tomorrow. Thank you again, Crazy Gold. Jesus Christ, man. What, you like the most generous donator this month? I think you'll be at the top of the list. I'm pretty sure you are. Jesus Christ, man. Thank you so much, Crazy Gold. Woo. Don Bongo says, that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't, but a majority should. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I would say we agree then. The stress would collapse on more power to the states. Move where you want to. Corruption for days over there. Hey, complaining about the government ain't fixing anything. We're here for Monster Hunter. I mean, if you complain enough, the problem just seems to go away. Agiko says, I'm kind of curious on how taxes work there, Gameconomist. In America, well, we have two tax you get taxed by the federal government, which is all the states, but then you also get taxed by the state, which is like a province that you live in, right? So you have, I'm from Missouri, we have Texas, we have California, we have New York. So you get taxed by both of those, but then also you get a tax on your goods. So when you buy something, like let's say you buy a candy bar, the government takes some money then. Also, a lot of people don't know this in the United States. You pay your income taxes. Did you know your employer also pays some of your income taxes? You just don't see that part. So if you're paying, let's say, 24% income taxes, your employer is also paying some income tax as well. So your real income tax is much higher because your employer probably would have just paid you that money if they didn't have to give it to the government, probably, right? The government, your employer does have to calculate for that. And then we have property taxes. So if you own a house and you own a car, and not every state is like this, but if you own a house and a car, you get taxed for that as well. There's something called vice taxes. So if you like to smoke, if you like to even drink soda in some places or eat sweets in some places, you pay a vice tax, which is the government coming in and saying, this isn't good for people. We're going to tax you on this. They do it to the company, so you don't pay for it up front, but the company charges you in a different way. And then you have gas tax as well, and there's just all kinds of ways and finally you have inflation. This is where the government decides we're going to sell bonds to the central bank and have the central bank buy the bonds by printing money, and this is it causes what's called inflation. Inflation occurs where because more money is printed, now more money is available, which means everyone's money is worth less. Because it's not like the value of the car changed, right? Like let's say you're buying a car with that money. So the car is still worth roughly the same amount, but now that there's more money, that money isn't as valuable. So you say, I will trade you the car for the money, but you're going to have to give me more money now because there's more money, So inflation is the government's secret way of taxing you. They do it to take basically your money. And they've been doing it for a pretty long time. And of course, it's been at an acceptable amount for the most part, but the fear is that we're in so much debt that they're going to reach a point where they're going to have to start printing a whole bunch of money to keep up with the debt, and it's going to get bad. That's what people worry about, and that would be called hyperinflation. After World War I, Germany actually had a big problem with hyperinflation, where the government in Germany had to print crazy amounts of money to the point where the money was useless. The money was so worthless that they would use it as toilet paper rather than buying toilet paper, and they would wallpaper their homes rather than buying wallpaper. And that's because the money is so valueless. This happened recently in Venezuela. It was the same way in Venezuela. So your government can print so much money that your value gets your currency gets devalued, and this forces like this sort of downward spiral where your government prints even more money. And it's a way of basically stealing all of the money out of the pockets of the people who once held that currency. It's really bad for them. It's a form of your government stealing directly from you that only the government can do. So it's an interesting thing. Even if you don't have kids and didn't get a public education, you still get benefits from public education. Professor Sequoia, that's your belief. I don't actually agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. Yeah. I like it when people are educated, but the belief that, oh, well, you're benefiting from everyone else having your tax money to go to educate themselves, I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't agree is because even if we didn't have like a public education system, people would still become not publicly educated. People would still pursue education selfishly, the same way we already pursue education at the college level. And again, you can become very wealthy here in America. You can pursue a college education. Somehow, all these years, we've had people pay for their own college education and then obtain some of the best paying jobs in the world right here in America. And I didn't have to pay for it with my tax dollars. So one of the brainwashing sort of lies that you've been told to believe is that you have to pay for everyone's education or else your society would be bad. I don't actually agree with that at all. It's 2020, the internet exists, we know education is a useful resource, and so if we ended all public education today, I guarantee you would still have your children publicly educated, or I should say you'd send them to charter schools, you'd homeschool them, you would send them to a private school, you'd do whatever you could to send your child off to learn math. Actually, I wouldn't even have my child learn everything that you learn in high school, but definitely math and science, I would teach them that right away. Probably some reading and writing, but that wouldn't be as important. I'd teach them how to edit videos, I would teach them how to sell stuff, I'd teach them how to do taxes, and I would teach them how to invest, but then also some math and some science, right? But this idea that you have to pay money because your money is so well invested in children going to public school, I don't actually believe that. I think everyone is capable of investing that money themselves. It's not like it was 100 years ago, right? Things have changed. Parker says, hey, GC, how's it going? Pretty good. G Shadow says, what is the best counter build? I bet it's a sticky build. I bet it is a sticky build. Atomic Primate Production says, Venezuela is what happens to a country when they choose a bus driver as president. I can't read your name, but he says, I had to pay $800 for books every semester because of how unregulated it is. Actually, I had the same cost for books, and I paid nothing for books. I paid no money for any of my college books pretty much the entire time I was in school, because it turns out you can go on the internet and you can pirate all of the books. If you don't go on the internet and pirate all the books, you just, do the work without the book. I did that for math classes. You know why? Because math classes, all the math is on the internet. You don't actually, if you're learning about a particular kind of equation, it's on the internet, dude. Like, just ask the teacher very clearly what the subject is, and he'll say, oh, we're doing linear algebra, this is the subject, and then just Google that shit. It's right there on the internet. Oh, you're learning business, the teacher's going to write the keyword on the chalkboard. Write the damn keyword down, right? Or look the book up on the internet and be like, how do I download this for free? Or just Google the subject and watch a YouTube video on it. I had to do this, of course, because I was so poor when I was in college. We did not pay for our college education, or our college books. There were one or two that we did end up buying. I remember this. There were a few college books that we purchased. You know what we did? We purchased them off of eBay at the lowest possible price. Sometimes it was like an international version of the book, and it turns out the international version is just a much cheaper version of the US version. And then after we were done using the book, we sold it on eBay, where you get much better money than if you sell it back to like the book guys that are always vulturing about at the college that you go to. There's always some stupid bookstore that's like, we get you the best price. They don't, by the way. They never do. It's eBay that will get you the best price for your book. So we will buy it on eBay for much cheaper because you can sort items by price on eBay. and then you buy it at the cheapest price on eBay, and then when the semester ends, you do the 15 minutes of work that it takes to create a listing on eBay, and you sell it and get all of your money back. Or, you know, you find the next student that's going to... I remember, actually, we would just create Craigslist ads to kids who needed to go to the next class after us, and they'd buy it too, so they'd pay cash. So if you properly buy and sell the books, you get your money back. But most importantly, never buy the books. Do your research, get online, and find out how to do the class without the book. And you can tell the professor, hey, I'm so poor, I cannot afford these books, okay? So I'm doing this class without the books. And you know what? The professor actually will understand. Professors are not out there to... because they don't get paid when you buy the books, right? Professors do not get paid when you buy the books. So you tell the professor, I'm doing this class without the book, I just can't afford it. Sometimes they will even offer you the book for free. They'll be like, you know what? I have a copy of the book. Here's my copy of the book. Here it is. I understand you're poor, right? But you actually have to ask them for that. And it doesn't feel nice telling a professor that you're poor, but then you get the book for free, and then guess what? You just save like $100 on one book. One book. So I essentially paid nothing for my college books throughout college. So when people, they complain about college, another thing is common these days to complain about buying the books at college. And what you do is you actually kind of lie about the real cost of the books. The books don't cost $800 all the time. Sometimes the books are like $50 or $70. And what people will do is when they go to complain about the cost of college books, they just raise it a little bit because it sounds more dramatic to say $800 rather than $300, when the reality is it's probably closer to $300 than it is $800, right? I know it's different for different courses, but yeah, so that's my thoughts on all that. Well, I better get behind this. Oh, also I should have the jump assigned. Do you have a Twitch stream? Nope, just the YouTube stream. I do have a Twitch channel, I never use it though. I used it for a little while, and then I stopped. Arson says, what's a book? Exactly, I'm on Arson's team. The safe word is, yes, chef, what? Lamb sauce? Hold on, I gotta do this. I didn't have this last time, it got me killed. Alright, there we go. I've had classes that make you buy the $200 book because it came with an online access code that couldn't be reused. Huh, interesting. Oh man, this guy got knocked over. I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm not sure which class you took. That sounds really expensive. I'm not saying that some college books can't be expensive either, though. I do actually know that they try to get as much money as they can with the college books. All I'm saying is you got to do your best to try not to pay that. And my wife and I, we did actually quite well. The safe word is, it looks like Gandhi's freaking flip-flops. What? Oh, man. I'm playing so badly because I'm reading the comments the whole time. Really enjoy your streams. Ever considered recording a podcast? I have thought about that, yeah. I don't know if I want to do podcasts, though. I do have a second YouTube channel where I was recording stuff regarding like card collecting, and actually what I discovered is that it's hard to watch a video where there isn't something visually going on, something visually stimulating. What is the most important thing about fighting Rajang? Hold on to your nutsack so he doesn't rip it off. I completely agree with you. The safe word is now poop sock. Bookstores rip you. That's right. Bookstores absolutely rip you off. Bookstores are a middleman. That's what you guys need to remember. Bookstores are not the supplier of the book. They're not another student selling the book directly to you. The bookstores are like, you know what the bookstores are like? They're like GameStop. GameStop sells you the game for $60, but then when you go to sell the game, they're like, yeah, we can buy that game off of you for $8. And you're like, what? The game's almost brand new. And they're like, we know, but we have to make a profit. So they're a middleman, and so when you buy the book directly from another student using Craigslist or eBay, you do much better. You do much better. Much, 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 much better. I don't know about that stuff he just said about online access code. He might, I can see that happening, so I don't know what class that would be for. Hopefully you're not paying for an access code for a useless class, though. Hopefully it's a really valuable engineer class or something. Vampy says, I had a class where we need to buy a book, otherwise professor don't want to let you pass. Yeah, he write the book. Oh my god. He's like, you gotta buy my book. Really, dude? That's ridiculous. Universities in North America are a scam. They put you into the inescapable debt for degrees that can't get you as far ahead as you'd like, and they double dip with books, papers, etc. in a monopoly. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true for everything. Like, my wife and I went for degrees in computer science, and the pay for computer science is actually really good. So that's not a myth. The pay for having like an advanced degree in science is, well, not advanced, a regular degree in science is still quite good. I think probably though what is happening is there are a lot of easy degrees that you're told you need to pursue, or like you think the idea of a college degree in general is really important to you. Instead of thinking of the degree strictly as a financial investment, people think I gotta have a degree. So they go in and they say, all right, what degree am I gonna get? And they go, you know what sounds fun? Psychology. Or you know what'll probably be definitely very useful? History. Or you know what I really have passion for? Liberal arts. And then you go and you spend $40,000, maybe it's $50,000, maybe you paid $200 for a book, and then you come out and you find out actually the value of your job's not dictated by what you're passionate about, and it's not dictated by the fact that you have a degree. It's dictated by what the market's paying for. And right now the market is paying for technology. The market will always pay for somebody who's good in finances, by the way. Finances will never be a thing that will become outdated or useless. And then medicine probably is another one. Medicine, accounting. Accounting's already finance, I already said that. So some degrees are a very safe bet for you. Law is probably going to be around for a long time, right? Let's see what else. Oh!
Come on, bruh, play with Bo, bruh, come on, bruh, just do it.
Just do it, bruh. See, mine, bruh. I try to dodge it. I was going to go into STEM, but I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, and you know, one of the tough things about going into like a STEM field is that I think you actually kind of... A lot of people want to do it for the money, but they're not well suited for it. I think if you don't like logic and math, and just sitting around and doing that... Oh, Josh is dead. I think you're going to have trouble performing well in those categories, and it's not going to work out well for you in those cases. So that's what I have to say about that. That's why it pays so well, guys. So if you're going to go to school for a degree in computer science, it pays well precisely because not everyone likes to do computer science. Oh, damn it. I thought I made him flinch. Nice job, Twitch. That's a flinch. Run! Oh no. Is he gonna make it? Yeah, he made it. Yeah, boy. Oh, I'm dead. I dodged it. I dodged it with the hop. That was amazing. Frivolous degrees aren't as common as you think. Those markets exist, sure, but there are so many careers where you can't get ahead unless you pursue expensive degrees for average pay. The 1% again. Yeah, you know, I don't really agree with that mindset at all. The whole 1%. I hate the 1% mindset. I'm really against that. I actually love that our country is filled with super wealthy people, billionaires who pay, even if they pay a fraction amount of the taxes that the rest of us do, they're paying crazy amounts of money as an individual. And I think that those people are often, the reason they're so wealthy often is because they're the most industrious amongst us, the best at investing, and they just work on it all the time, and they actually do provide jobs, right? For example, you probably never have a job from somebody who's poorer than you. It's almost always going to be from somebody who's wealthier than you. Poor people don't provide jobs because they don't make billionaire businesses like Amazon. All right, we got to get him away from this. Hold on. Unless you guys can do enough damage in a very, very, very short amount of time. Oh, we got this. We got this. Perfect KO timing. Alright, here goes. Wait, he is gonna... Tell me he doesn't attack again, right? Yeah, there he goes. Weird. Run! You just said we should get rid of public education, but then recommend people go for a degree in computer science. Well, I don't know what you're trying to say here. I think what you're saying is you can't obtain a computer science degree without going to public school first, but I actually know that's false because I was homeschooled and I have a computer science degree. So you're not really making a good point to me. I only want the spice says planning to get a degree in computer science on the cybersecurity side. Sounds good, man. I hope you finish it and get licensed and make a whole bunch of money, and then you can come back and tip me. Gregory says, I'm looking into computer science myself and just curious if you studied CompTIA's material. It doesn't sound familiar. Insane Arbiter says, what do you think of VAT or consumption tax? Ooh, a VAT tax. I'm trying to remember what a VAT tax is. Hold on. VAT tax. Value-added oh, right, is this new... I don't know how new it is. Value-added tax is a consumption tax placed on a product whenever value is added at each stage of the supply chain from the production of the point of sale. The amount of VAT that the user pays is on the cost of the product, less any of the cost of materials used in the product that was already been taxed. Let's see. VATs discourage consumption because they raise the prices of goods and services. The VAT is being considered in addition to a sales tax. Sales taxes are big revenue boosters for states. They are used to support state and local government projects and services. I guess I would need to learn more about what the point of the VAT tax is, other than raising taxes on your goods. In the midst of rising unemployment and surging deficit, the United... Actually, that's not true. How long ago was this written? The economy jobless... the unemployment rate's really low right now. Although, if you're on the left, you're going to disagree with me on that. The United States government is thinking of ways to increase revenue in order to fund government programs. The government has been considering implementing a VAT tax, eliminating capital gains taxes, and raising taxes on higher wage earners. Government trying everything to plug budget shortfalls and raise needed funds. Value-added tax. Discourages consumption more than the current sales tax. Oh, here it is. Many products that you buy off the internet are not subject to sales tax. For example, internet retailer Amazon does not charge a sales tax in most states. VATs are indirect taxes and they are imposed on every area of production. VATs discourage consumption because they raise the price of goods and services. It would apply, for instance, to raw products delivered to a mill, the mill's production work with those raw products, and so on up the line to the retailer. The tax is initially placed on every stage of production until finally being applied to the end consumer. Value-added taxes are the norm in European countries, but have never been instituted in the United States. So why is the United States considering adding it? Rising unemployment has cut into tax deposits. Entitlement programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Oh no. Is the bulk of the federal government spending. Entitlement spending continues to grow at a faster rate than the government's revenue. So the government either has to cut entitlement spending or it has to raise taxes to pay for these programs. By the way, for those of you listening, if you're wondering why the cost of the entitlement programs are going up, it's because a lot of old people are discovering that they didn't save any money and now they need help with retirement and they need help with their medicine. So that is the reason. Okay, so here we go. The government. Okay, I already read that. The VAT is being considered in addition to a sales tax. We already have a sales tax. Sales tax are big revenue boosters for the state. They're used to support state and local government projects and services. A VAT, on the other hand, is like a national sales tax. Oh, now I understand. So you would add a VAT would be like a sales tax at the federal level. I get it now. The revenue would go directly to the United States government. Therefore, a VAT is a form of double taxation, a sales tax at the state level, and then a VAT tax at the federal level. The good, a value-added tax would help us deal with the major economic issues plaguing the United States economy. Okay, the bad, a VAT could disproportionately affect the poor. Since the tax will be the same for the rich and the poor, the tax will be a higher percentage of an impoverished person's income. In other words, taxes on food and clothing will keep poor people from being able to obtain these items at a price necessary for their survival, whereas the wealthy won't really be affected by this. Interesting. If businesses aren't able to cover the cost of the extra taxes, it will also continue to cause higher unemployment because businesses will lay off workers to cut costs because of the higher tax. Interesting. So it sounds like your question about the VAT tax could actually just be changed to, do you think that we should pay more taxes? I think that's probably what you mean. I think that the United States can raise its taxes to the point that it remains an attractive place to move to and to live and to pay taxes. However, if it turns out Europe is a more attractive place to live, then we wouldn't want our tax rate to be higher than Europe. We would want our tax rates to be lower than Europe so that people decide to live here because they go, well, at least I'll have more money. That's my opinion on how much taxes we can do. Okay. I completed 12 years of public education and I have a degree in communication and I haven't earned a dime from it, so both are pointless. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. What are you talking about, Matt? It's definitely what you know. No, I think that there's probably cases where if you happen to be having like rich, famous parents, they can get you a job. If you, rich or famous parents, yeah, that's called nepotism. For example, the creator of Walmart, Sam Walton, his children are billionaires. But there's so much money out there. There's so many jobs, so much opportunity, so much innovation that can occur. I didn't know anyone. I literally knew no one. Again, like I left home when I was like 17. Haven't seen my parents in 13 years. Living all on my own. I'm doing great. Even if I hadn't become a YouTuber, right now I'd be a software engineer with a wife who's also a software engineer. Really, all it was is just waking up and going to school and doing my work. That was it. You can't have that. You can't have that attitude, man. He says both are pointless. You know what I mean? You can't have a this is pointless attitude. It just won't work for you. What do you think about people changing the sexes? I don't really know what you mean by that. Do you mean like what do I think of transsexuality? That's like a whole different subject. I feel like we've talked about it before. Don Bongo says, I missed the build. Could you show it real quick? Yeah, let's take a look at the build real fast. This is a defensive build we put together for fighting Raging Brachydios and Furious Rajang when they come out. Artillery 5, Guard 5, Slinger Capacity 5, Blast Resist, Health Boost, Focus, Divine Blessing, Stun Resist, Tremor Resist, and Fortify. Damn, that's a tanky build. This is a super tanky build. You could basically fight anything and survive anything. Really easy, easy, easy. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and grab some more of these. Anderson says, ready to depart. Alright, let's see what you guys are saying. Communication degrees are worthless, says Insane Arbiter. Actually, it's funny, I've told this story before. I had an Uber driver pick me up one time, and I was just talking to him. And he told me he's a communications major with a degree, but here he is driving for Uber. And I asked him, because I was curious, how much student debt do you have? $70,000. He's $70,000 in debt with a communications degree working for Uber. See, that would turn me into a liberal very quickly. It would. Because I'd be like, you know what? I did all the work. I got this stupid degree now, and I got $70,000 of debt. The government, I was ripped off by the system. And the government should have to pay me, or other people should have to pay for my degree or whatever, right? Well, actually a better description would, in my opinion, you guys might, feel free to disagree, by the way, but in my opinion, he probably should have done a little bit of research, and he would have learned that a communications degree is probably not that valuable, and he probably should have done a little bit of research on where he could go to college for cheaper. And that's kind of the difference between letting people buy things on the government's dollar versus buying things on their own dollar. See, he probably would have made the same decision either way. He might have even made worse decisions if he had made all those purchases using government money, in other words, my money. He probably would have made even worse decisions, because when it's other people's money that you're spending, it's very easy to make bad decisions because you're going, this is other people's money, what do I care? But see, it's his money, and now he's stuck with the bad choices instead of me. So I pay less taxes and I become wealthier faster because we made different choices on what college degree we'd have. This is kind of like, I want to say is sort of like nature. It's kind of like natural selection almost. And the closer you can be to nature, the more competitive you can be, the better, the healthier it is for your society. And I feel like people want to get away from that. They really do. They don't want to be like that. They don't want to be competitive. Competition's scary, you might lose. Some people do. But competition's healthy for your society, in my opinion. See, some people would really disagree with some of these ideas. See, now we're getting kind of to my belief system. That's the thing. We all have a belief system. We all have really base beliefs about the world. And mine is that natural selection is good and competition is good. Those are some of my very fundamental beliefs. And you might not agree with that if you believe in living in a more socialist economy or society. Ooh! What, you haven't heard of my gender? How dare you be so ignorant? Mary, Sin J Slim says healthcare industry is going to be the next bubble once all the boomers finish dying off. That's actually a very interesting point. You're right, because the boomers are almost like a resource for the healthcare industry. But there's a lot of smart people doing all the investing, and the truth is they probably have already considered what you just said. But yeah, that's an interesting point. I don't have any money invested in healthcare because I'm not familiar enough with it. But yeah, once the baby boomers have passed away, there will no longer be that disproportionate number of old people receiving healthcare benefits. Oops, sorry, Squatcho. Daka Donis says money is unnatural, though. Actually, money is one of the most fundamental things you find in nature. In nature, you wouldn't have dollar bills, obviously, but if in nature you can gather a lot of resources quickly, all the women, all the females want to mate with you, and if you can't, you don't get to mate. So resources is like one of the most important things in nature, because it kind of describes whether or not you get to have children. It's not like that, actually. You want to know what's unnatural, actually. Let me tell you something that's unnatural. If you're somebody, you're failed at your job, you don't really do anything very important for society, you're not even necessarily a good person, maybe you're just kind of a bad person, and maybe you just kind of run around having sex all the time with women and getting them pregnant because the two of you are just dumb enough to not use protection and to get pregnant, and you just do this a bunch. So in nature, what would happen is your children would die because you don't take care of them properly. What's unnatural is in our society, we take care of these children and they never die, because you and I are perhaps more clever and capable of providing resources to take care of these children. But these children live on then, and then they pass their genes down, and this would never happen in nature. That's unnatural. That's actually unnatural. And you could claim anything's natural, because you could claim humans are a part of nature and we do all these things. So, what's natural is hard to describe, but you can see how, I've examined it basically. Like, okay, so normally these children would not be fed because the parents are not very good parents. But here in our society, we keep the children alive, so the parents keep having children where they pass their genes down, and we keep them alive, and it's not our own genes. It's kind of this weird thing, isn't it? But it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of subverts natural selection. It does, because natural selection would not have those children survive. Natural selection would have your children survive, but you're not having children. You're just kind of paying for other people's children. And you do it through taxation and socialism, and that's kind of what you see in Europe, by the way. When you look at Europe, they don't have kids in Europe. Did you notice that? So oh man, I can't wait to be like Europe. Like what? Having no children, failing family unit, right? So I don't know how to feel about it all. It's stuff I'm still thinking about myself. But one thing I do strongly believe in is really basic principles of nature. Things like natural selection, they don't go away even if you want them to go away. You know what I mean? Like, you can't wish natural selection to go away. It's going to occur. It'll occur either way. Oh no. Oh no! He still got me. Okay. Oh no! I didn't stand up in time. I'm dead. I'm alive. It's the benefit of having a shield, guys. I shot that guy. If you want to have a really good shield weapon, I've got to say, Gunlance is feeling really good, guys. I would probably choose Gunlance. Eat the baby, save the planet, says Paulo Diaz. I know, right? Give me some of that yummy baby macaroni. I'm ready for some delicious babies. Came to watch a video game, stayed for natural selection. But no, it's a very interesting thing. He said that money is not found in nature, but this is just not true. We know that there's all kinds of species where what the males do if they want to have sex with the women, they actually bring the women like a gift. So in nature, the gift is value. In America, for humans, what you would do is you would pay for it. So like Valentine's Day is in 2 days, right? Well, what will you do? You buy your girlfriend or your wife or hopefully your girlfriend a box of chocolates. How do you buy the chocolates? You pay with money. So you're just trading your goods. In nature, what you would do is you would gather the chocolate. It's the same thing, though. So money is extremely prevalent in nature. Everything is about money in nature, in a way. Everything is about what resources you have. The males with all the resources, it's even more imbalanced in nature than it is in human society. It used to be, actually for humans, it used to be that we were polygamous for a very long time. Okay, so if you learn a little bit about human evolutionary biology, one of the reasons why men are not that good at being monogamous is because for the longest time, men weren't monogamous. We were polygamous. We had multiple wives if we were good at getting all the resources. They even talk about it like in the Bible, right? Not too long ago, the Bible. They talk about, oh yeah, and if your brother dies, take your brother's wife, and there's all these Old Testament dudes who had like multiple women having children for them so they could have 20 children, right? That's not that long ago. So now we're all monogamous because, I don't know, that's how we, polygamy is barbarism or something like that, something that Christians decided. And but not too long ago, the Bible was all like, yeah, and your second wife and your third wife and blah, right? So this was not too long ago. And it was all based on whether or not you could afford to have multiple wives, and then because you could afford it, you would have a whole frick ton of children. And what would happen? Because you could afford to have a frick ton of children, your genes would be passed down really well, right? That would be the result. So the person who's good at gathering the resources would pass their genes down more. And this would be a form of natural selection. Anyone who doesn't believe that, oh no, he's going to do it twice. We're fricked, guys. He put down 2 rocks. Are we not gonna... Weird. Is he not going to do another ecliptic meteor? I thought he was going to do 2. But yeah, polygamy was not too long ago, and you used to have a ton of children where you'd pass your genes down, and if you were a man who couldn't pass his gene down, you just didn't get to have that. If you didn't have a lot of resources, I mean. Woo! Oh no. This is not looking so hot, guys. Checking where I can run. Oh man, I'm scrolling through my items. We have the Rocksteady. You know what? I'm on the edge already. That's fine with me. We got a Charybdis on the edge of the map. There we go. Alright, I'm free. Oh man. We got one life left, I'm pretty sure. Good luck, guys. You have Uncle Economist on your side. He's gonna help you. I think I'll be okay. I have the Temporal Mantle still. Alright, he's dropping it on somebody. Who's he dropping it on? Oh! Good thing I had those Rocksteadies on. Oh my god, please. Did we make it? Oh, we made it. Nice job, everyone. What do you think of America's healthcare system? I'm not an expert on healthcare. I don't understand why it's so expensive. I think that rather than spending billions of dollars to have a socialist system, or whatever you call it, a wealth redistribution system, I think one of the things we should be tackling is the question of why it costs so much in the first place. America's famous for capitalism, and what capitalism does is when you're in a free market, if you're making too much money, what's supposed to happen is another businessman is supposed to come in and be like, well, you're making a ton of money. I'm going to sell the same item and also make lots of money. And what happens is enough businessmen start doing the same thing as you that this drops the price as they begin to compete. That's what's supposed to happen. I don't know why this is not happening in healthcare. I'm guessing it has to do with like laws that create a barrier of entry for businessmen who want to get into medicine. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You would think that America would have the most affordable, high quality healthcare in the world. Instead, we do have very high quality healthcare, but it's very expensive. In fact, it's like some of the most expensive healthcare in the world. So to me that sounds a little bit like there's some price gouging going on. And again, I suspect it might be related to a lack of competition. Captain Burdock says, I think the reason for the monogamy argument is so that males with lower resources to attract mates don't resent their society and turn against them. Right, but that's also like saying we wouldn't be able to control those males. We wouldn't be able to stop them from violence. And the truth is, we would be able to stop them from violence. I think we would, actually. Oh man, a girl won't have sex with me. I'm just going to shoot her. We've had people do that. They're called incels. And the idea that we don't at least stop some incels from doing that. I don't know how much I believe that. Also, I don't really believe that excuse me, if we allowed polygamy again, I don't think that, well, polygamy is allowed, right? It's just not legal, but it's not like you can stop somebody from being in a polyamorous relationship. So people can be in polyamorous relationships. I think the majority of people just wouldn't get into one anyways. But let's say you get like a really wealthy, well-off dude, and he wants two girlfriends rather than one, right? I just don't see the problem. It doesn't bother me, actually. It could be the other way around, too. Like, there was the girl who had, like, the 5 boyfriends or something like that. Remember that? That was a Barcroft TV or something like that. It doesn't bother me one bit. I don't think it bothers you guys either. Most of you. Medicine cost is bloated thanks to copyrights. Oh, okay. So maybe it is. Yeah, Roger Elliott, Paulo. Yeah, maybe it's copyrighted and this is causing a lack of competition. Well, in that case, you would just remove the copyrights or change the rules around them so that there's more competition. Let's fight a tempered Ruin Gigante. Your thoughts on Trump's stance on getting rid of certain student loan forgiveness programs, effectively taking a directly opposing stance to those he's up against and potentially rallying youth. Getting rid of certain student loan forgiveness programs. Yeah, I'm completely opposed to student loan forgiveness. I think that the correct decision here would be to tell young people as early as possible, if you pull out a loan, you're responsible for the loan. That means you have to do the research to know what your degree is worth, what kind of jobs are actually at the end of that degree. It's not everyone else's job to figure that out. You're the one who wants to make all the money, so you have to figure out how it works. And then the government is there to provide a low, a subsidized student loan. That's a loan with very low interest fees. Basically, it's like a form of a handout anyways, because in the market that would be worth more. But I think the system currently is appropriate. The only thing that might change is students themselves need to change and realize, I can't go to school for a worthless degree. And when I'm in school, I can't have spring break for 4 years. That's an enormous amount of wasted money. And I can't afford to have a nice car when I'm in school. So I'm going to drive a bad car, a cheap, junky car while I'm in school. And I'm going to focus all of my time on a good education that will then turn into a high-paying job at the end. And then society will pay significantly less taxes and stay competitive. I hate cheating, and it's an annoyance to deal with multiple girls at once when in a relationship. Orgy relationships, that's right. Don't go to college, trade school. Well, you can go to college. I wouldn't tell people not to go to college, but I would tell them everything that I just said. I would say, do research on your actual degree before you pursue it. Actually, there's this kind of more taboo subject of, are you smart enough to go to school? And I feel like that's actually hard for people to understand. Like, if you're in there pursuing your subject and you're finding out that you don't like math, you're finding out that you're not very good at it, you need to see the writing on the wall and go, okay, I need to change directions fast before I dig a big hole and put myself into an enormous amount of debt. Because I think some young people treat school like it's just this 4 years to party and have sex and have beer and to feel young and be surrounded by other people in school and high-five them and think that, oh, because I'm here, I'm successful. Success is when you have $1 million in your bank account. The stupid degree, the stupid piece of paper you get from your college is the opposite of that. The stupid degree says you went $40,000 into debt. Your banknote that says you have $1 million, that's actual success. And I don't think young people see it that way. They think when they're at the college high-fiving each other and picking up their college degrees when they graduate, they think that is success, but it's not. Success is when you have $1 million in your account. You're not there yet. It'll take time, obviously. You're going to have to get older. But the success is not the degree. The degree is at best a stepping stone, okay? But I think for some people, they treat it like this is the part where I get to have high self-esteem and everyone's going to think I'm impressive because I have a degree. And it's a mistake in the way that you analyze the worth of things, right? So, and you have to be good at that stuff. You have to be good at kind of analyzing what the worth of a thing is and being like, okay, maybe this is not what I think it is. Sometimes you have to be different from other people, right? Like, most people still think that a traditional degree is really, really valuable. And you might have to be like, nope, not really. Not unless it's a certain type of degree and, there's a clear job at the end of it. I think the other day we had a live stream where we went over the 10 least valuable degrees. And what was surprising about them is some of them sound like respectable degrees. But it just doesn't matter. There's no work for them. So why would you go $40,000 in debt? Not to mention losing 4 years of your working life, right? So you go $40,000 in debt and you skip working for 4 years. That's 4 years of income you could have been earning. So you do that for a degree that ultimately doesn't get you a job, or it doesn't get you a good job. You end up being a middle manager at like Walmart or something, you know what I mean? You could have gotten like you could have gone to your local community college and gotten what do they call those? The associate's degree, and just become a middle manager that way. And you can still become a millionaire as a middle manager. You just have to not own as many sea-doos. That's another thing. Everyone thinks that, oh man, I'm going to live in a McMansion, I'm going to have a sea-doo on the side of the lake. No, only the people who are smart enough to earn that much money are going to have that. It's not going to be the case for everybody. But everyone is very optimistic and hopeful that that will be them. And it's like, you should be hopeful and optimistic. I don't mind that, actually. But you also have to be living within your means, I guess, is what I want to say. You have to realize you have to live within your means. If you want to live in the house by the lake, you have to do something for society you have to do something very important for society. It's not owed to you. There's no quick way to do it. It's not like you just clock into school, you clock out, and then you have a fancy job and a fancy life. It's like the opposite of that, actually. Since everyone wants that life, everyone wants the house and the boat and all that stuff, since that's the way it is for everyone, it's this sort of intense competition that's actually going on. And so it's actually those who are creative and extreme problem solvers and risk takers and investors. Those are the ones who actually end up getting that, the house and the boat and the nice life. It's not people who just clocked in and clocked out every day, right? Like, so you guys, most of you probably do have jobs. And you probably show up to your job and you say, all right, I've clocked in, time to do my work for 8 hours, and then I'm going to go home. You will never earn a lot of money with that attitude. You never will. The person who goes, how do I take this company and turn it into a multi-million-dollar company right now? That's the person who will own the nice house and the boat. And I think in our country, especially in America, you've just sort of been sold this idea that everyone's going to have this life of wealth and comfort. It's like an expectation almost, right? You see it on Facebook, you see it on Twitter, you get to see all the rich kids and the money that they inherited, right? So you're like, oh man, it's going to be me and I deserve this. No, you actually have to provide enough value to justify the money that gets made that then gets spent on the house and the boat, right? So you clock into work and you're like, I'm going to clock in, and later I'm going to clock out, and then I'm going to go home and jerk off and watch Netflix, and it's going to be great. You're never going to be wealthy. You have to wake up and be like, how do I expand this company? How do I become the owner of this company? Not the, you have to do something special and you have to buy a ton of stock. But people just don't think that way. It's so funny too, because you're so educated. You're so damn educated, and you don't ever think in those terms. And most people are that way still. They don't think in terms of, how do I create an asset? Or, okay, I'm working for another man. Here's his asset. I'm working for him. But how do I show him that I'm on his side and I can take this asset and make it worth more than if he, had some other worker? And then I'm going to tell him, you better move me up and make me a manager. People just don't think that way. But then they still want the nice house, and they want the sexy wife, and they want the car, and they want the boat and all the other stuff, and they get very outraged when they see other people have it and that they don't have it. It's like, but what have you done to deserve it? You went to school? Wow. Everyone goes to school, and you all go into debt to go to school now. That's why it's so expensive too, by the way. The reason school is becoming more and more expensive, for those of you who don't understand, the reason school is getting more and more expensive is because everyone's demanding it. And everyone's demanding it because everyone can go on a student debt. So it's like, all right, I can pull out $40,000 and go to school. Well, since everyone's doing that, the cost is rising because the demand is rising. Even worse, the schools are probably very aware that you guys are very bad at figuring out, oh, this isn't very valuable. The schools are probably very aware of this, because the schools are run by a bunch of old rich guys. They've been alive much longer than you, and they know when you're getting ripped off. Like the old rich guys who run the colleges, do you think they would go for a degree in psychology like you? They laugh at you probably. They're like, wow, you're going to pay money for that? Dummy. That's probably what they're doing. There's no way these guys would go for a dance theater degree or whatever, liberal arts degree. They don't care about that shit. These are smarter, older men that have been alive much longer than you, and you're like a battery for them. They suck money out of you. You're a battery for them. They want to know how much money can they extract from you before you wise up. That's basically their job, and they've been doing it their whole life. So that's how schools work. That's how businesses generally work too, by the way. Businesses look at you like a battery, like, all right, how much money am I going to suck out of John over here before he figures out he's got a bad paying job and he moves on to a better paying job? Well, you're John, and you're supposed to move on to the better paying job early. Okay, so if you have a shit job now, you're already supposed to be looking for the next one. You're not supposed to be sucked dry by your current employer until you wise up. You're just supposed to go out and find a better employer. And then he has to find a new one of you, some inexperienced, naive guy who doesn't realize he's being underpaid. And then when you do that other thing where you say, hey, I'm actually really smart and I can increase the value of your assets. When you reach that point, then the business owner says, welcome to the team. You're actually part of the business team now. You're not just some guy I'm employing. Well, get ready to get rich, right? And that's why we see a big, there's a big gap between the wealthy and the poor, because most poor people just think the one way, that they got to clock in and clock out, and that's the end of work, right? No, that's not how wealth is created. You're doing like the farm animal work is what you're doing, right? When you work at like McDonald's and you make the burgers, you're doing the farm animal work, and your job's going to be replaced by a computer. The guy who designs the computer is the guy who actually creates wealth. Business financiers, they understand this, It's usually young people and people who think that they deserve other people's money who don't understand this. Roman B says, would you think a psychology degree is worthwhile if I'm looking to become a psychiatrist, not to make lots and lots of money, but to help people because I realize there is so much wrong? Yeah, I mean, here's another thing. You guys don't have to be rich, by the way. You can live a poor life, and that's okay. Usually my only problem is when people want to be rich and they think that they deserve other people's wealth. Hey, he has a lot of money. That should be mine. It's kind of like, I just don't agree with that. I fundamentally don't agree with that. Private property is everything to me. Private property is at the heart of a successful economy. So when you say, yeah, I deserve this, it really upsets me. And people are always trying to make some convoluted explanation as to why you're allowed to take somebody else's private property. Oh, well, Europe does it. Oh, where they don't have any children, Europe. Actually, they stole it from me. They don't have a right to the business. I'm the worker, right? So there's always some complicated idea that this is why I'm allowed to take somebody else's private property, or I should be allowed to take more of it, more than they agree to. But yeah, if you want to go to school and get a psychology degree and you accept that, maybe you won't be earning the best money, that's perfectly fine, man. Just go for it. There are jobs that don't pay the best money and people are perfectly happy doing them. And if you're enjoying what you're doing and you're okay with the amount of money that you're earning, then it sounds like you've found something that works very well for you. Just be sure to live within your means and put some money away for when you retire, because one day you won't be old enough to keep working. And the trick is to have enough money that you can then take care of yourself and your wife with dignity and not have to beg your children for money and feel that you can, like let's say your wife gets cancer. Well, you're going to want to be able to take care of your wife's cancer and feel that you've actually been able to take care of her, which is something people don't think about until it happens. People don't think, oh my God, my wife actually needs me to take care of her when she has cancer. They don't think that way when they're 30 years old. But it's like you need to start saving when you're 30 so that you have the money when you're older to take care of her. That's exactly how it works, right? It takes a while to amass wealth, right? That's another thing. A lot of people hate wealthy people. A lot of the wealthy people are just old people who properly saved their money when they were young. They were your age that you are now, enjoying being young and sexy and hot. And now they're old and nasty and nobody wants to have sex with them, but at least they have money. But it's like the young people want to take their money too. And it's just like, oh man. It's like, you don't understand. They've been doing this for 30 years. That's why they're wealthy. It could be you next. You're selling yourself short if you don't think it could be you. Of course it could be you. And then you're just creating a tax that you will have to pay later in life because you're young and want the money now. I kind of shouted that. Jenk Kimmy says, people who are ambitious and have foresight are the ones who usually get far in life. I got 2 degrees that are rarely combined because they are so different, but combined they are valuable. Insane says, you speak truth. Orette says, I think people today are entitled, like they have that, I should have that too, even though, well, and I don't think that's always the case. I think there is kind of there's sort of an ideological debate going on about whether something like healthcare is a human right. I don't think it's a human right. Bernie Sanders says it over and over and over again. I do not think healthcare is a human right. Let me give you why I believe this. A, because you will not live forever. So no matter how much medicine we give you, you will eventually die. We're talking about buying you more time. And B, the belief that you're saving more lives by giving it to you when you're 70 and you need your cancer treatment. This belief that this is better is based on a sort of misunderstanding of how the economy really works. If you discourage billionaires from living in your country and they move to another country, or they just decide not to do as much work because what's the point? They're not even going to earn anything from their work. Or they decide we're going to shelter our money in a more complex way to avoid all this, or whatever occurs from your decisions where you try to take money from the wealthy. They decide that they resent the poor because the poor resent them. All these terrible things can occur in your pursuit of paying for other people's healthcare, when perhaps the real problem with the healthcare was that it was overpriced, and you're not even addressing that, right? So saying things like healthcare is a right, you're not born with healthcare. You're born with no needles stuck in your body, right? So the whole vaccine issue, when you're born, nobody's sticking, they're not sticking vaccines in your body, but you're not born with healthcare. And so saying it's a human right, I think, is more of an imaginary thing. Now, let me say this. Is it a good thing? Yes. Would I like everyone to have healthcare? Actually, I would, if we could afford it. But it's a question of affordability. Can you bankrupt a country trying to afford everyone healthcare? I think you really can, actually. And if you bankrupt your country to give people healthcare when they're going to die anyways, doesn't actually make any sense to me. Okay, so that's my position on all that. So would I like to help people with their healthcare? I really would. I think we should look at lowering the cost of the healthcare, and I think that we should treat billionaires as our friends and people who actually make our country a great place to live. And we could raise taxes on them, but not higher than Europe. And then when it comes to medicine, we can do as much as we possibly can, but you also have to accept, if you're like 75, it might be time for you to go. It might be time for you to die. People really reject this idea. It's in your instincts to reject it. You do not live forever, guys. We do not have that medicine currently. So I don't know how much bankrupting you want to do to live one more year. But you kind of have to decide how much you want to go into debt to live one more year. That's the same decision we will all make this someday when we're older. All of us will. Someday you'll be 80. Someday I'll be 80, and I'll be told I have cancer. Or 50 maybe. Maybe I'll be 50 and told I have cancer. That would be really sad, because then that's pretty young actually to have something like cancer. And then I'll be trying to make a decision about how much money I want to spend trying to cure it. But everyone makes this decision. When I was born, they stuck a pee-pee in my body and now a needle. What? Mark says, you just pop out in a hospital and they toss you right away. Saul Cruz says, TGC, you need sleep. We need you awake for more Pokemans. Oh, speaking of which, do you guys want to jump over and do some Pokemans? Do some Pokemans soon. Laggy Death says, healthcare isn't for the ones who are dying, it's for everyone. So actually, it's funny you bring that up, Laggy Death. I totally agree with healthcare for the young. So socialized healthcare for young people, I'm entirely on board with that. Up to like maybe 50 years old. What do you guys think? Up to 50. But after 50, that's the cutoff point. So I'm actually okay with quite a lot of socialized healthcare, but there's a cutoff point. And 50 might be kind of high. It might be more like 45 maybe. 40, 45. But especially for young people, college students, people who have not had enough time in their life to amass any kind of wealth, I'm totally down with the elderly paying for your health care. That's how it should be, actually. Old people should be helping you because they've had their whole life to amass wealth, and now it's their turn to sort of pass the mantle down to you and take care of you so that you're healthy and capable of having children because you can afford children. They don't have children in Europe. They don't have children in Europe. They can't afford them. The elderly should be helping you have children, not the other way around. The elderly are about to die. You're not supposed to be taking all your money that is meant for your children and then giving it to the elderly. It makes zero sense. But people are selfish. And, especially when they go, hey, that's just the government's money. I'm just taking They don't do the full thinking. They don't go, actually, that's young people's money. And I'm taking it so that, I can pay for the things I didn't save up for. People don't think that way. Arson says, TGC ignoring me. Feel good. That means I win. What? I must have missed one of your things you said. What'd you say? Arson says, we die to live. That's right. Entering Logan's Run territory. Funny enough, I watched Logan's Run for the second time with my wife. She really liked that. No, I don't really believe in Logan's Run. Logan's Run is where they just killed the old. That was it. No, I don't believe in that at all. I just think that we're talking about a very specific thing in Sane Arbiter. We're talking about there's a bunch of young people who already can't afford to have kids because the price of all the goods have gone up. Everything's gone up, guys. The cost of housing is dramatically more expensive. The cost of education has gone up. Healthcare has gone up. And then you have the boomers, and they've lived in the wealthiest economy in the history of the world with very low taxes, with extremely cheap houses. And they're the ones who don't want to, by the way, for those of you who don't understand why houses are so expensive, is because if you voted to allow the construction companies to build a bunch of houses, all the boomers would lose money because they're the ones who already own houses. So if the supply were to increase, the value of their home would fall. So if you're living in California wondering, why can't I buy affordable housing in California? It's because everyone who invested in housing in California doesn't want you to build a house. Simple. So they already owned houses, and they lived in a time where the houses cost nothing. Their education was like $2,000. And women didn't have to have a job in order to make it. There was enough money being paid that... and part of that, actually, I think, was because women actually entered the workforce. I think even Elizabeth Warren had written a book about that. I can't remember. But anyways, they lived in one of the most prosperous times ever. And now they're older, and they didn't save any of their money, and they're saying, you need to pay for my stuff now. I've said this before in my live streams. Bernie Sanders, socialized healthcare, that is not for young people. Young people are generally healthy. There's some young people who get cancer, and I think we can take care of them because there's not that many. Socialized healthcare is for the old. And Bernie Sanders he became kind of like this sort of cultural meme thing for young people, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm for socialism. It's like an identity. It's like I'm an emo kid thing. But actually, the socialism's for boomers. It's for boomers who didn't save up, and now they need cancer treatment. They can't afford it. It's not for young people. But they've already had everything. And everything's so expensive today because of the economy that they left us. They left us with huge amounts of debt. America's in debt because of all of the entitlement programs the elderly wanted, now more than ever. It's not everyone always likes to blame the military spending, by the way. Military spending does not even come close to the amount of money we pay out for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Not even close. And yeah, we do spend a lot on military, by the way. But it's not even close to the entitlement programs. So they get all the entitlement programs, they had the best economy, everything was cheap for them, they had the homes, and now they want you to pay for their medicine because they're older and they didn't save up any of their money. They had the big houses, they had the big cars, right? American consumerism. That's American consumerism. And Bernie Sanders does not represent you when he says he wants socialized healthcare. He's representing the boomers. And you guys, a lot of people just don't understand that. He's popular among young people. Actually, remember when he first became a candidate and everyone was surprised to discover that? That's because nobody expected it, because he's trying to give elderly free health care. He's not trying to give young people free health care. A lot of people didn't realize that. So, yeah, I don't know. I do want to lower the price of healthcare, by the way, and I do want to provide socialized healthcare for young people. I'm 100% down for both of those things. I think that would be really good. But yeah, I've said that on my channel before. The socialized healthcare was never for young people. Bernie Sanders was representing the elderly. And it's like he became popular with young people, and I think it's because young people want to like say, oh, I'm against capitalism and the 1%. I think it's more like a class warfare thing for young people. It's so funny though, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Maybe we should change the subject. As far as I know, America spends the most into military-industrial complex. In one study, the spending was 3 times the next 6 countries' military spending combined. Yeah, there's always like a billion figures. Everyone's like, oh man, they spend so much. The thing is, when you look up the largest militaries in the world, actually a lot of America's enemies, or I suppose opponents or challengers, that would include places like certain countries in the Middle East, North Korea, China, Russia, and other countries. The size of their militaries are quite large, actually, and we don't talk about that. And if America didn't have a really large military, the thing is, Europe's militaries wouldn't quite be enough to deter them, is the point. So America does a nice thing where it spends a lot of its money having the most advanced and largest military, and it works as like a deterrent, essentially, for issues like world war. America's not in a world war. I don't think Americans want to be in a world war. The US dollar is a trustworthy currency today. The funny thing is it'll become an unstable currency from debt, not from war. Is the funny thing. But anyways, we've had a large military and a trustworthy currency, and that's been, in my opinion, a good thing for the world for a long time. And again, we can afford it. Is the funny thing. We can afford the militaries. It's not the military that brings us down. It's actually all the entitlement programs. Again, I encourage any of you who have never done this before, go look and see what the proportion of spending America does on entitlement programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Is tremendous. It's an enormous amount. It's most of our spending. Jen Kimi says, not largest military spending. Like China has the largest infantry by a mile, but they do not spend on their military a lot. Oh, yes, they do. They spend a lot on their military. Brandon says, the Social Security protections on Bernie's website for his plan to save Social Security had it going insolvent by the time most first-time voters hit the age when they get it. Exactly. So Social Security is an enormous amount of our U.S. spending. And young people are all for Bernie Sanders, but they don't understand there won't be enough money for Social Security when they're older, right? So if you're younger and you're like, man, where's all the money go? Well, to the elderly. We give it to them already. It's called Social Security. And Social Security is this fund it's kind of like a pyramid scheme. It only works if our society is constantly expanding so that young people, like multiple young people pay for one old person. But of course, this is going to reach a peak where people stop having as many children, and then because there's fewer children, there's not enough money in the Social Security fund, so it's not enough money to take care of the elderly anymore. And this is one of the things we spend the most money on. I imagine other countries have this too in Europe. Social Security, they probably call it something else, like pensions or something like that. It's the same exact idea. And it's going to go bankrupt because nobody's having children. And so you think that he's representing the young, but he's just not. He's representing the elderly. He is actually representing the boomers. And he's quite old himself. He's like 80 or no, he's 70 something. I'm sorry. He's an older man representing a much older voting audience. It's just hip to be a socialist. It's hip to be a socialist, that's all. When the nuclear peace treaty comes to an end, when the U.S. is going to put all that wasted money to good use, wink. Joe Clora says, looking up facts is too hard. I prefer to get my political views from memes. I know, right? Eric Quarter says, why is Social Security considered government spending when it's money we already put in? I understand that, Eric. It's because the way it's working is, well, people are living much longer than we expected them to back when Social Security was created. And the actual design of Social Security kind of doesn't make sense because, as I was just explaining, is sort of based on there always being more young people than old people, but that doesn't actually occur. You have a situation right now where the baby boomers are all getting older and there's not enough young people to pay for their Social Security. So each year that goes by, a certain amount of money is spent on Social Security. Yes, some money was put in by these people who grew older, but it actually wasn't enough because of how long they're living. Insane Arbiter says, the bureaucracy must expand to meet the ever-expanding needs of the bureaucracy. Exactly. Tutti Frutti says, a lot of European countries also have forced military drafting that people aren't aware of when the need arises. America does not. No, America has the draft, yeah. Listen, I want Bernie to win because of the 40% drop in legacy markets will be amazing. What? Lagadeth says, here in Germany, we have the problem that the current generation will have to work basically until they're dead because there are too few young people to pay for them. Well, yeah, and Lagadeth, the saddest part about this system is that now you're not having children because you can't afford it. That's really sad. So we're over here in America trying to resist a system where you pay high taxes, right? Because everyone talks about what a paradise it is to live in Europe. And I think Europe, by the way, I love Europe. It's beautiful. You guys have ancient history over there. You have a lot of art and culture. So I love Germany. I love the UK. France, I don't know about what's going on over there in France. They're having a lot of protests and all that. But they're awesome places, but you guys aren't having kids. And it's like, how could you afford them even? You pay so much taxes. You're not going to afford kids. It doesn't make any sense to me how anyone would afford to have kids if you're paying like 50 60% taxes. I was hearing how the Scandinavian countries, it's like 50% on the income tax, but that's the income tax. There's all the sales tax and everything else that gets baked in as well, and you don't calculate for it. How are you supposed to have children on that? And then these countries, including Japan, by the way, Japan has a high tax rate too. You're all trying to figure out how to get people to have children. Well, how about letting people who are successful have their money back, and then they'll probably have some kids? It's like, well, we'll create a government program where the government will give you money for having kids. Or you could just reduce taxes. It's the same thing, except the money doesn't pass through the government's hands first, which means you would have to get rid of a few government workers who do nothing but sit in an office, take your money, and then give you back your money. It doesn't make any sense. It's just a waste of money, except unless you're in the government, in which case you're like, oh man, they better not get rid of my job. See what I'm saying? We'll create a government system where we give them money. That's happening in Japan right now. Government gives you money for having children. It's so silly. It's like, well, you could just not tax them as much. That would work too. It's the same exact thing. It's literally the same. Having the government take your money and then give you back money when you have kids is the same as if they just didn't take your money in the first place. So, I don't know. Those are my feelings on the subject. You guys, this is the Gameconomist channel after all, so you guys know my feelings. And I'm always sort of reviewing my thoughts and seeing what you guys have to say. So I'm always curious what you guys say too. Let's see if we can join a quest. Special assignment. American military yearly spending. A quadrillion billion. China. A quadrillion. I mean, you make it look like China's not spending much just because America's spending more, but it's like what I was saying. I'm glad America has a powerful military, that the combination of China and Russia and North Korea and, I don't know, Iran, I guess, and whatever other allies they have, they look at and they go, you know what? I don't want to frick with that. And if you're in Europe right now, going, oh, America spends too much on our military, great. We'll have a small military and you guys can build up a great military. How about that? And it's not just about the size of your military. You're right. It is about the complexity of your military, but who's working on the most complex military right now? Wasn't World War II essentially won by the UK, who invented the computer, right? What was the name of the computer? ITSIAC, I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't ITSIAC. No, it wasn't called ITSIAC. They decoded the Germans' coded language using a computer, and the Americans brought in the atomic bomb. It was all innovation, and it wasn't cheap. It was extremely expensive, actually, all of it. So having the most powerful military, again, you're right. It's not about just infantry. It's about having the most advanced weaponry. And I think everyone wants to live in this fantasy where, oh yeah, we're not at war with each other. We're all super good best friends. And wars in the past, we'll never have another war. And it's like, that would be a really naive way to look at the world. Very, very naive. Didn't Russia, they annexed I can't remember the name of the area. They annexed, it's not crime. Let me look up the name of it. Crimea. Okay, I thought I was going to get that name wrong. They annexed Crimea. That wasn't too long ago. You had all of the disruption in the Middle East not too long ago, all the revolutions, which they're still sorting out. War is still ongoing, is almost constantly ongoing. Arson says children smell. That's right. Flo says you do get money for kids in Germany as well. How silly is that, man? The government takes your money so that it can give it back to you when you have kids. It's like, but the problem is, you're not going to want to have kids if you're already poor, right? So you're going to be like, should I have kids? Oh, well, the government gives us a little money. It's like, oh, no. The Turing machine. Thank you, Cookie Cutter. That's correct. It's not ITSIAC. ITSIAC was some other project, not related to the war. The Turing machine, right. Air Kraken says, it's not the size of your military, it's how you use it. But having a giant throbbing military never hurts either. Right, that worked for the Russians against the Nazis, right? So the Nazis decided that, hey, we're going to kill the Slavs because they're inferior. And they go into Russia, and what they discover is that the Russians seem to have no limit on how many men they'll allow to die in a fight against the Germans. So the Germans were more efficient, but there were just too many Russians. And then winter came, and then the Russians invented a bunch of cheap tanks that could drive in the snow. And then all of a sudden, Nazi Germany is basically not crushed, but they're like heavily crippled by the costs of what they spent in Russia. So it's very interesting.
You gotta be kidding!
It was made by Alan Turing, but isn't a Turing machine. It would, and money certainly is not all in wars, but is still undeniably empirical and concrete fact that American military spending is way over the proportion to the need. Well, it's your belief that it's way over the proportion to the need. That doesn't actually mean it's disproportionate. Let's go ahead and grab this. We'll go ahead and load this up. Choop. Timestamp for the Gunlance build, 24 hours in. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die like a champion. Now, where's that Michael Bay Brachydios? Poor people actually have more kids here because of the money they get for them until they're like 24, so... I think I know what you're saying. Basically... What is he? Wait, is he talking about Germany, actually? Lagadeth? Oh, you're probably talking about Germany. I don't actually know the birth rate in Germany. I thought the birth rate in Germany was bad. Isn't that why they brought in a bunch of Syrian immigrants? Because your birth rate's really low. So they're basically boosting the young people in your population with... That's why Merkel did the whole, hey, we'll just take everyone thing, right? I thought that's why she did that. Russia was allied with Germany till they weren't. I know, right? Germany also wasn't supposed to attack Switzerland. They said they wouldn't attack it, but it's funny because I think they discovered later that actually Germany had intentions to later attack the Swiss. Oh man, we got both of these right here. It was called The Bomb. It was made in Bleckley Park. Very cool, man. Why are you breezing past my comments twice now? Yeah, basically because I'm playing and I'm reading comments at the same time. Smoke weed every day. That's right. Oh, snap. What's going on? Oh my god. That's not good. They actually just legalized weed in Illinois recently, I think. That's not too far from me. I should probably just go drive over and grab some. I've never tried weed before. In Germany, you want kids if you are poor. People make money out of that. If the parents are separated and the kids stay with the mother, she gets money from the government and the father. Damn. That's crazy sounding. Phoenix Snipe says, Pokemon stream when? You know what? I think now's a good time for the Pokemon stream. What do you guys think? Pokemon stream? Pokemon. Got a Pokemon the mall. Alright guys, good conversation. I'm ready to be demonetized by YouTube's now. I'll let you guys know if I get demonetized. I got demonetized last time we had all these conversations, all these interesting topics. They actually demonetized me. So, shout out once again to Crazy Gold. He's definitely the top donator for February. Not even close, I'm pretty sure. He's way ahead. And you can see me working my way slowly to that Dark Magneton. Yeah, I'm going to pop over to the card channel. I'm going to get the live stream started. And then I'll come back here and I'll post the link in the chat. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Scooby-Doo-Doo. Let's go get that link to the other channel, okay? Oh man, I like picked up 100 subscribers. I haven't even posted a video. Crazy, man. I have a lot of success on the main channel. Oops, I did not mean to do that actually. Why did I do that? Alright. I like switched over to the other channel, but that actually is a bad idea. Locks me out of my main channel, which I need. Here we are. Got it. He keeps opening up his own product, so it could. What? Alright, I've shared the live stream in the chat. Let me go share it in the Discords as well. Oops. Wow, a whole 30 people in the other Discord. That's crazy. Oh, I got a message from somebody. Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up. I'm going to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys had fun discussing all those topics. I thought that was fun. We're going to go open up some Pokemon cards on my second channel. I'll see you guys over there.